if you're wondering, did I prepare for today? Did I think of an intro? Did I think of something to say to welcome you all to the Just Gaming podcast, where we are to discuss so many things that it will blow your mind? No. The answer is no. I didn't think of anything. I'm making it up all on the fly, and it's really not working out all that well. But regardless, my friends, we have much to discuss. Star Wars Battlefront 2, or collection edition thing, has had some problems. Helldivers 2 has had some odd reveals that it does seem that need to be blocked from the internet because it's propaganda more than anything else. Bug sympathizers, so the officers say. Dragon's Dogma 2 has been in the news as well, and there's a bunch of other different odds and ends and little bits of things that we need to discuss. Far more than we can probably fit in one single show, but we're gonna try nevertheless. So sit, enjoy yourself, join us in merry jubilee with your waifu-themed water jug. Delicious. Drink your cup of liberty and enjoy the show.
Oh, I got you. I did.
Initially, yeah, I looked over. You're making like goofy faces at me, like a.
I threw you. Like, it's the first time I've tried it, but you like hard paused for a second.
Yeah, I did.
I liked it.
I did.
I liked it.
I should have just shut you off of the screen and just not even looked at you at all. I should just been like, I'm not even gonna look at this guy. This guy's a freaking weirdo. I need to not pay attention to him the best that I can.
Hello, everybody.
Welcome to the Just Gaming podcast here on Legendary Drops with me, your host Ian,
and your co-host Mark.
That would be the guy. That would be the guy. Let me update our Twitch real quick. Just podcast episode 82. Episode 82. Hello. All right, let me do the rounds real quick. I'm gonna do the rounds. All right.
Alrighty.
Good afternoon, Malik, Sublime 9, Jax, Nixie, Nix, Dave, Subtopia, Timmy, Bobby, Dog, Anton, Wings of Pestilence. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to the show. I hope everybody is having an absolutely fantastic Sunday. I know I am, because it's my favorite day of the week. Yes. And yeah, so take a seat, relax, and let's have a good old time and a good old chat.
I feel like we're on. I don't know if you ever saw that skit on SNL where they were. It's like the two women and they're doing the radio show. Yeah, and they're always like, "Yeah, oh, your sweaty balls? Yes, they're delicious. Sweaty,
sweaty,
yeah,
Swedish,
sweaty balls, yeah.
Swedish, Swedish." So, man, so many things to talk about this week. You know, one of the things that I noticed from the last podcast, and I'm just going to approach it because I saw some comments about it, so I'm just going to say something about it because, you know, I just love drumming up drama within, within the community. It just it fulfills me, is what it does. It fulfills me. There's like certain discussions that Mark and I will get into sometimes, and I feel like the context of the fact that we are just gamers is lost on some people sometimes, because there are people that probably haven't watched a lot of the episodes of the podcast. They maybe watched 1 or 2 videos of mine. They come in with some type of preconceived notion on what this podcast is or who Mark and I actually are. And I'll be honest with you, our knowledge is relatively limited, but we're just looking at things through the eyes of the consumer, because
we are.
So yeah, that's all I wanted to say on that.
Yeah, and I am 100% growing a third eyeball out of the center of my forehead. It's one of those that just hurts. It just hurts, and you can't stop touching it.
I thought you're going for like the Krillin look from Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah, right. No, so I messed with it, and I got like the pre-pimple, but not like the full white stuff. You know what I'm talking about? Like the pre stuff.
Yeah,
came out. So maybe later. Keep trying at it.
Jacob Carter with the 5 says, fighting on the war front with this in the background. Thanks for all you do. God bless Big Dog. Right back at you. Thank you for the 5. Appreciate that.
Yes.
So
carry on.
Carry on. For democracy. So yeah. So we do have a lot of different stuff to discuss.
Yeah.
I mean, so far for gaming wise, it's been like the same for me. A lot of Helldivers, and Final Fantasy VII Rebirth.
Yep. Final Fantasy Rebirth, Helldivers. I actually got to play Helldivers with you, which was a ton of fun. And you know, you start playing it, and then you look up, and it's 4 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah,
type deal. I got roped into the soccer game, so I've been going pretty hard at it. I know.
You disgust me.
I know. I can't help it. I can't help it. I'm actually enjoying it quite a bit. So
yeah. So yeah, you know the funny thing is I posted a tweet where I was just like, I've noticed that not a lot of people are talking about Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. And then, you know, I ended the tweet by saying it's just because it's just that good. Like the people aren't talking about it because they're too busy playing it because it's just so big. Yeah. It's such a big game.
It's a huge.
And the funny thing is that in a lot of cases, you know, in a lot of cases when games get that big, I'm always afraid that they're gonna like take away from the overall value of the game. But instead, the game is just like,
yeah,
it's thick. It's just thick. There's content for everything.
But it doesn't. Okay, so it doesn't like it. It feels like there's a lot to do, but it doesn't feel over bloated like your Assassin's Creeds do. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where it's like with Assassin's Creed, your like main story shit is what's bloat on it. You know what I'm saying? Like all of the bloat on this game is optional.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think that one of the things that kind of blew me back while I've been playing it is that, you know, like I want to do all the side content because the rewards for the side content are really, really, really good. But beyond that, like even just like side objective, like side missions are complete stories in themselves. So it's not like they just threw content into the game just to throw content into the game. It's like everything makes sense in the, you know, in the sense of the game as a whole.
Have you been seeing the memes about it? Like just like you ever seen that movie Rookie of the Year? Like where the kid, you know, he broke his arm and so he can throw like a fastball, like a stupid fastball. You ever see that movie?
Yeah.
Anyway, so the meme for this is like it's the developers are the Square Enix is like the coach, and like the devs are the older pitcher going out there, and he's just like, give me one more, talking about the mini games. He's like,
yeah,
fine, one more. Like it just keeps going on. It's like, Jesus.
Yeah.
There's a lot of different stuff in that game. Like I said, where you were talking about people not complaining about it, I mean, the only thing that they can complain about is that it's an exclusive.
Yeah,
and the performance of it, because it's an exclusive. That's about the only thing that they can complain about.
Yeah, our good buddy Fonz was like one of the few people. I'm not popular on Twitter by any means. I just say things and throw it into the ether more than half the time. But our good buddy Fonz responded to it, and he was just like, "What? That nobody bought it?" I'm like, there's gonna be like, I get where like. I don't know, man. I just feel like when we start talking about like the sales of a game in the greater picture of like whether or not we're enjoying something, I think we're getting away from like the heart of how much we're enjoying it. I think far too many times, I don't know if you've noticed this, but like over the and I'm guilty of it too. I'm guilty of it in my own content, to be honest, is that you know, when we go to talk about how great a game is, we almost always start talking about how popular it is.
Yeah, I mean, well, I was, you know, thinking about this before, like probably a couple hours ago when I was laying on the couch. We have, like, I don't know if it's the community that's done it or if it's the companies that have done it, but we have this concept in our brain, and we use the term everyone really loosely. Okay, but we say stuff like everyone's going to buy Grand Theft Auto 6. Everyone's going to buy this. Everyone's going to buy that. And that's not the case at all. It's really not. I mean, the thing is, yes, a lot of people, but you gotta think about it. A wildly successful game let's say Hogwarts Legacy, what sold like 28 million copies or something like that last year. It
Yeah.
was something like that, right?
Yeah.
Highest selling game last year. Well, there are way more than 28 million gamers. You know what I mean? So it's not
Yeah.
like it's not like everybody bought the game. 28 million people did.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it like not every game is for everybody. So it's just like I have that hard part. We've just gotten to where we're just so like, okay, this is the new hotness. Everyone's going to be doing it. So let's just jump on it regardless if it's a good game or not. And I shouldn't care. Like I don't really care. I don't think I've ever really cared about the sales of a game. I just care if it's fun to play. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like there's a lot of games that sell well that just aren't fun to play. You know?
Yeah,
Didn't have a great experience with.
I don't know. It's just one of those things. I think it's a lot of it kind of comes down to like confirmation bias. I think in a lot of cases, like we want other people to, we want other people to appreciate the things that we appreciate.
Yeah.
And we want to see that.
Yeah.
We want to see
validation.
We want validation, but it's almost like at times, I don't know, like we can kind of ask chat this as well. I don't know if you guys feel the same way. But almost like it's not even that we want it for ourselves. Like we want certain products to get the recognition that they deserve.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Yep.
So like, I'm big fan of Dragon's Dogma, Dark Arisen. It wasn't a massively popular game. I wish everybody played it because, I wanted to get that kind of recognition. Same thing goes for talking about Dragon's Dogma or making content around the second game coming out, right? I want a lot of people to play it. I genuinely do, because I think looking at it, it's going to be a game that's going to make a lot of people very happy and people are going to really enjoy it. Same thing goes Helldivers 2. I love making videos or talking about Helldivers 2 because I personally want the game to succeed, not to, not for any sense of like confirmation bias or anything like that, but because like it's a game that I look at and think this deserves recognition. And if this is recognized, then we'll get more games like it. So I guess it is kind of self-serving in some way.
Yeah, it is. I mean, on your case, which you can back up, you have receipts for it because your videos are a lot about that type of thing of wanting to change the industry. Well, not change the industry, change consumers purchasing towards the industry. Like the more stuff that we buy, like for instance, we'll throw out Suicide Squad. Okay. The fact that it didn't sell well, it's not playing well. Guess what? WB is not going to do another game like it. They said they're just not going to. Just saying.
They're the ones that said they're doubling down on this.
Well, I'm just telling you.
Their CEO came out and specifically
they're looking at Hogwarts for it, but I'm just talking about
which means
like
the next
Suicide
live
Squad.
So they're going to make another live service just like Suicide Squad, but it's going to be Hogwarts because they probably are equating the failure of Suicide Squad Kills the Justice League. They're probably equating that with the brand, not necessarily the brand and the studio, rather than the fact that they tried to make something that probably shouldn't have been a live service, right?
Yeah. Bad example, bad analogy.
Yeah.
But I guess you understand what I'm trying to say. Like,
I get where you're coming from.
If we stop supporting certain practices in the industry, hopefully they'll stop doing them. That's what you hope for, is that they stop doing them.
Right.
But yeah.
The idea, the problem is that like they just don't learn. The problem is that I see specifically with like AAA games, and like I think that we've kind of turned live service into kind of like a red herring. Is that the right term for me to use?
I like fish.
Well, like we've turned it into this like red flag where we kind of turned it into the scapegoat or the enemy, where we say, oh, live service bad, yada yada, but it's really like bad game bad more than anything else. Like a good live service game can still do well, a la Helldivers 2, right? But one of the things that I've noticed is it's just like a lot of studios, especially on the higher end, and I wonder if it's the size of them that's the issue, but they just don't learn from mistakes.
It could also be like the older. I think the older the studio, the more entitlement, I guess, would be the term. Like, or they just thinking, that they can't fail. They're too big to fail. You know what I mean? Like that
Could
type
be.
of,
Yeah.
like we've done all of this, so it's going to continue on forever. You know what I mean? So maybe that's it. Maybe they just think, hey, we can't make a shitter.
Yeah, I think that like, so specifically I look at a company like Activision Blizzard, right? And it's like that's a company that they refuse to learn from mistakes. Refuse. Like, mistakes don't exist. Mistakes don't exist here. Mistake. What are you
mistake?
What are you talking about? We wholly expect that people are going to be buying the next expansion of, Diablo 4. And the funny thing is that they're kind of rewarded for not learning from their mistakes, because consumers go into it thinking that these companies are going to learn, right? Oh, they messed up with the first launch of Diablo 4 and the patches and the seasons, but I'm sure it's all going to come together in the expansion. Right? Right? Yeah.
But, I mean, there's so much to unravel there. Yeah. No, you would think they would, but I mean, there's publishers that just haven't. I mean, look at Halo. I mean, you've had, as a game franchise, you've had three bad sequels.
Yeah.
Back to back to back. Like, they just did not learn. And I'm tired of, like, I won't do this for any game. I'm not going to apologize, be an apologist for it, or like, it's better now. No, that doesn't work. It doesn't work anymore, man.
What the funny thing is, like, especially when it comes to like live service games, I don't even know how we even got onto the topic of live service, but one of the things that I was thinking about is that with how many of these games are tied to like scheduled models, right? Seasonal models.
Yeah.
Which means that like you can't fix or change anything with your game.
Yeah, because
until the next season.
It's based on this.
It's based on this structured seasonal model. That's how the companies run it. That's how the players expect it to be delivered. And as such, they stick to it. And it's very rare for you to see like very like massive or wide sweeping changes outside of seasonal like refreshes, right?
Yeah.
So looking at like Diablo 4 as an example, any big change is going to come with a seasonal update, right? So like their big itemization overhaul is season 4 as an example. But the problem is with that is that with a lot of these games and a lot of their communities, when you have yourself stapled to such a restrictive business practice that really suits the studio more than it suits anything else, right? It suits the company more than it suits the consumer. What ends up happening is that like, what if you have a bad season? What happens if players don't like your game because of the update that you made, and now they have to wait 4 months before you could potentially fix it?
Before you can fix it, yeah, 100%.
That's a long time for gamers. That's an eternity for us. Your game has been bad for a long time, and chances are, like, you've already lost a very large portion of your audience by then.
Oh, I mean, like, they could have, with Diablo 4, they could have had, they did have. They could have had just, the first season be bad as a oopsies, we're learning, right?
Yeah.
But they can't have 4 seasons be bad. Man. They just can't do it. Did
you see the Gauntlet drama? You can't make this shit up, man. I was dying on stream. That is the funniest thing I've seen. You guys release it, the players exploit it because they figure out that they can take a shrine buff into the Gauntlet before the shrine starts, which gives them a massive power advantage over any other player, and they just skate right through it. And it's like, it's also like super boring, repetitive content, and it's just
running around the same map in the circle. Like,
how gummed up are some of these studios, especially when you look at like, like Blizzard's team? It's just like, it took you guys this long to release this leaderboard, this long, and this is what you guys have to show. It's like all this massive buildup, huge buildup, like because they've been talking about the leaderboards since before Diablo 4 launched. Yeah, it's not going to be ready for launch day, but it's going to be ready soon after. And then, here it was almost 6 months after more than 6 months after the game had released, and this pitiful piece of shit is what they drop on their customers. Bro, what's wrong with this studio?
Yeah,
what's wrong over there?
Dude,
my God.
I like. Don't get me wrong. I like Rod Ferguson. I do. I do.
I
But
don't. And
but
I don't.
but at this point, I'm starting to be to where I'm like, bro, you need to do something. Like, you really need to do something.
Well, here's the thing. I think the problem is that I think a lot of people looked at somebody like Rod Ferguson, and I think this is what people do sometimes. Like, they see people that were a part of something that was successful in the past. So Rod Ferguson, Gears of War, BioShock Infinite, right?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, was he the reason why those succeeded?
Well, I think Cliff Bleszinski was the bigger reason for Gears of War, to be honest.
Oh, for sure. For sure. I mean, it was his brainchild. He was the one that came up with it. It's pretty obvious that, But but outside of that, like, I don't really know. I don't know, man. Like, I just don't see his polish and influence and the structure, apparently, that somebody like that can pull off over at Activision. Personally, I'm just not seeing it. The game's just in such a pitiful state. It literally, like, honestly, like, when I saw what they released for that Gauntlet, I was like, it's like you guys built up that, like, we're gonna serve you guys the best meal you've ever had. It's just gonna take us a really long time. It's gonna take us some time. We're gonna get it done. We're gonna get it done. We're gonna get it. They just keep saying it, and then finally they just show up with half-eaten can of Campbell's chicken noodle soup.
It's like a cold bologna sandwich because the fucking stove's broke.
Yeah.
And they don't fucking say that the stove's broke, but they just give you some cold bologna. It's so crazy how much of a train wreck that's been. Like, I just don't get it. I really don't get it. I wanted that game. I wanted that game to be so good. I wanted that game to be so good. I love the Diablo franchise.
Oh, I know.
And
I know.
It's like, it's just sad.
Oh,
that hurts. That hurts the old heart.
Yeah. Speaking of studios screwing stuff up, what happened with Battlefront? What happened there? What happened?
Okay, so
how do you re-release something with, like, next to no change and somehow ruin it?
Well, okay, so in the Nintendo Direct, they used a modder's footage from their B-roll that they showed in the Direct. Yeah, so for content that's not in the game. Then also in the game is content from another modder, code from another modder. Dude, another crazy thing is, like, on the Reddit, modders have gone in and taken screenshots of the code that's missing from the actual game,
missing. I saw
that they need for the game to work properly, like it's supposed to.
I saw
I'm just like, what is going on at EA? Actually, it's not even EA. It's Aspire, but EA has to eat it too. Like, it's on them.
Yeah, it's just,
I don't get it.
I am blown away. So the thing is, like, with some of these studios that are out there, and I'm like, what is this, like the rise of AI? Is that what this is? It's just making, like, a group of, like, workers in an industry so incompetent and so lazy that they feel like they can just copy paste code from fucking modders and use that for what they're going to, publish as a video game. Like, bro, what are you do? Like, I was watching a couple of people play it live, and it's so janky. Characters are twisting. Like, no, while they're shooting, there's the character model is shaking.
Yeah, just like doing this.
They removed all cutscenes from the end of every story mission. All the story campaign, all of the end cutscenes, they're all gone.
Are you telling me that cutscenes for a Star Wars game are important? I mean, what's crazy is they have 2 ports for Battlefront 1, Battlefront 2 on PC that aren't a part of this collection that work perfectly fine. And they're cheaper than buying this $35 bundle.
And they also have a lower download size.
Oh no, dude, by 50 gigabytes.
Yeah, by 50 gigs.
By 50 gigs. What did they add?
I don't know. Probably farming people's Steam PCs and consoles
you know what it is?
for Bitcoin or something, I guess. I don't know.
Okay, fucking Ultimate Team cards.
We're just stashing them in there.
That's where they're storing them, is on everybody else's console. So when they sell them, you'll see, like, oh, reclaiming some storage. You're like, oh, okay.
Yeah. It's one of those things where You know, it's really difficult to call for any type of regulation in an industry, but like there has to be some type of quality standard that even if like I'm sorry, man, like Steam or some of these marketplaces, I'm not saying that like government needs to get involved, but I do think that these platforms do, where they need to walk in because like and it wouldn't be the first time. PlayStation did it with Cyberpunk. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But there, you should absolutely have these platforms stepping in and saying, no, this is ripping off our customers. We're going to return their money. You're going to take your game back. And if you can fix it and then bring it to us and show it works, then we'll put it back on there. But outside of that, no, we're not going to have this on our marketplace.
Yeah.
These platforms
Steam
in general
does a pretty good job about it, but like it's gonna have to be a like a massive case though, you know what I mean, like with the day before, you know what I mean, stuff like that.
Yeah. Well, but and the thing is that like, and I get like people are pointing out like Steam has a return policy. It does. It doesn't work as well on PlayStation though. Like PlayStation's return policy is horrible.
Dude, I don't even know how to do it. I don't know how to do it.
From what I understand, you can't install it. If you install it, that's it.
That's shenanigans. Because I was going to try to do once I heard that, you know, Rebirth was going to be on PC, I was like, I'll just wait, you know, while
I don't think you can. I think the Sony return policy is kind of all over the place. 2 hours is a joke in some cases. Yeah, and that's the other thing too. Is that you know, I was talking about this. I don't know if we were talking about this I think I was just talking about this on stream, but like one of the things that like bugs me is that you know, I recently watched that video from Asmongold where he was talking about, you know, these Unreal 5 tech demos. And it's like, even when it comes to these ports, a lot of these companies, all they have to do is just put enough time and effort in to like the first 3 to 5 hours and then just say screw it on the rest.
Well, I mean, and that's why I commented in the section while I was watching is like what we're going to end up with this Unreal doing like it is you're going to have a lot of early access games that are never going to come out 1.0. They're just going to be a $35, you know, hey, this is early access. It's a game we're working on, blah, blah, blah. And it'll never 1.0. It's just going to be a run.
Isn't there like DayZ or something like that on remember we tried to play that before and it was like, oh, you don't play on official servers, play only with mods, like Ark. Even Ark feels like it's a early access game without mods.
I think it was DayZ. We had to like download like 6 or 7 mods just to play the game. And I was like, oh, why? Like
7 Days to Die. Yeah. DayZ's still in beta. It's so crazy. Yeah. Like that's one of the things where it's like, I mean, at least I think with both of those games, players can extract some sort of value out of that. So they probably don't really feel like they're getting pulled over on them. But a lot of these live service games, man, like there's a lot of like weird rug pulls going on in the game industry right now. And especially if you're looking at something like Battlefront, it's like, how do you guys screw this up? It's already been released. Yeah. You already have ports that exist of this.
Yeah.
All you needed to do was a touch up.
Yep.
That's it. Did you see that they didn't even prepare for the game to even have over 200 players?
Yes. Like they didn't expect 200 people to buy the game?
Yeah.
That is insane. Like, of course, this is just PC side. I don't know how it runs on the console side of things, but it's that's insane that you don't expect 200 people. I mean, shit, we did the same. I mean, we've had the same discussion when it came to Helldivers. Not thinking, you know, whatever. And then, you know, I was irritated with the last Epoch because they had sold 1 million copies. You should expect at least 1 million people are going to come play the game when it releases 1.0. That's what you should, as the minimum, but they didn't.
Oh, yeah. No.
You know what I mean? So,
no.
You know, it's just, it's crazy. It's crazy. 200 people crash their servers.
Yeah, I the funny thing is that like I think I watched like Ackman's video where like he was kind of discussing it, and it's wild to me specifically because of the fact that, you know, we've had games that have been getting, you know, just as much flack for not being prepared for over, you know, 400,000 players like Helldivers 2. You know what I mean? But it's like, could you imagine making a game and not setting it up so that it could at least hold 200 players in Battlefield? How many people? Yeah. How many people are on Battlefront? Sorry, on Battlefront. So how many people are typically allowed in one match?
I think it's 32 on each side.
64 in total, right?
Yeah, I think so.
So what?
That sounds right.
So less than 4 games running at once?
Yeah. Only 4 matches can be going at one time. And yeah, dude. That is a colossal cluster. That's a colossal failure. That's a big, huge L for that's why I'm saying I don't get how you already have the code on Steam for those games, and they actually look better than this does. It's crazy.
Yeah, and to be honest with you, man, like I even had seen like see if I can find it real quick so I can bring it up on stream. But I'd even seen that like even IGN's show of like because they actually showed like the classic collection gameplay 4K at 60 FPS, right? And the thing is, like, what really sucks about seeing stuff like this is that this isn't representative of what the game actually looks like. And there's a lot of players that are going to buy it off of this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, this looks fine. Sure. This looks fine. So it's this looks fine. I don't know why they had to throw that on us. What the fuck? Get some milk, I guess.
Shit.
But like,
I love it.
But like moment to moment gameplay that you're seeing on here. But you are kind of seeing like some of the other things that people have been complaining about, where like the crosshairs are kind of like bouncing off of characters. I saw a little bit of that as well, where like the crosshair doesn't really want to lock on to players the way that it should.
Well, it looks like it's like auto aim.
Well, no, it's like the aim assist in the game. Yeah, the aim assist in the game is busted as well.
Yeah.
Where basically like I was watching a couple people play it. And your aim assist is literally bouncing off of the players and stuff like that. It's just yeah. I mean, like from this perspective, the game looks fine, and this is one of the reasons why. This is one of the reasons why I'm a major advocate for telling players that, like, for sure, you guys watch people play the game. Like, watch people actually play the game. Yeah. Watching IGN, watching GameSpot, that's not enough, because these guys are getting a curated copy of the game. They are getting an isolated version. They are not getting a, release version or anything like that. This is something that was provided by the developers for them to play specifically for commercial reasons. And that's not necessarily, I wouldn't really say that's the fault of IGN or these companies, but
no.
It definitely is the fault of the developer, because they know exactly what they're doing.
Yeah, I mean, as consumers, we just need to be as cautious as possible.
Yes,
and that's gonna tie into a conversation we're gonna have here after a while.
Yeah.
But yeah, we just have to be as cautious as possible and realistic as well. You know what I mean? This game is super, super old. So yeah. I don't know. They can't.
It's just embarrassing, man.
It is embarrassing.
Yeah, and I would imagine too, like a lot of the gameplay, because I think like what they were showing on here, they don't even signify it either, which they probably should have. Which I think all they're showing is just like the campaign level stuff. So like obviously on a campaign you're not going to see any issues, because you don't have to worry about netcode issues or anything like that. You don't got to worry about any of that PvP, kind of stuff. Yeah. So and that's where a lot of the problems for players is the multiplayer, which is the whole reason many players would be going to play this game again in the first place, right? Yeah. They'd be going to play the multiplayer together. So it's just it's crazy to see that the weird rug pull, the weird like just straight up ripoffs that we're seeing in the industry right now is just super odd. Like this is completely unrelated, but I think it's like still worth talking about, because I'm wondering if we're gonna see more stuff like this happen in the future. Did you see what happened with you remember that one game that I played for a while?
Oh, that Temtem? One, yeah. Oh yeah, Temtem, yes, yeah.
Temtem. Did you see what happened?
No.
This is a wild story. So if you guys haven't played Temtem, Temtem is a Pokemon copy, basically. MMO though, so it's supposed to be like a live service MMO. New islands were going to be released with new monsters. You'd continue to progress. You could PvP. You can breed. You can do everything. Whole 9 yards. It's basically the Pokemon MMO that players have always wanted, but obviously not a Pokemon game because God forbid that, Game Freak ever makes anything. So it was a Kickstarter, right? So people funded the Kickstarter based off of what the developers said their intentions were, which is a, creature collector MMO. This is the roadmap, releasing new islands, new monsters, all this kind of stuff. After they got past their 1.0 release, soon after, they introduced a battle pass that was framed as a way for them to fund continued development and support of the game that these people funded through Kickstarter and then sold itself on Steam. And it was so foreign because it doesn't feel right in a game like that. It doesn't make sense to have. It's like the analogy I always use is like when Ubisoft started selling XP boosts in single player RPGs. It's like, yeah, what are you doing, dude? What is this? Like, it's so blatant. It's so gross that players immediately recoil at the sight of it because they know what it is. This isn't to make the game better. This isn't to support the game. This is to line your pockets. That's it. I'm not going to get any value out of this because you look at what the contents of that battle pass are, and it's all BS. It's character skins and accessories and things like that. You know what I mean? So none of it is for the players. It's horrendous. Yeah. And the players push back. And you want to know what the response of the developer was? Okay. They pulled it out. They said, okay, we won't do it. We're not going to have it, but we're also not going to support the game anymore, and we're going to move on to the next game.
We're taking our ball and going home.
Like, filthy.
Well, contractually, they did meet their Kickstarter. They came out with a 1.0 version of the game.
Yeah, and so, they have updated it since then. They did add more islands, but what the people that basically funded and invested and made this thing become a reality, like their vision for what they were sold on, and this wasn't something that these players made up in their mind. No, this is what this developer set out to say that they were trying to do, and then they recanted on that. Said, "No, you're not going to pay for the battle pass? Sure, okay. Well, we'll make it free. You guys can unlock any of the battle passes, the past battle passes anytime you want. But this game is going on maintenance mode, and we're going to go work on Temtem 2.
It is so dirty. That is so dirty.
So filthy.
That is dirty.
So filthy.
That's dirty. I'm not shocked though. That's the thing. That's what's crazy about it. It's dirty, but like I'm not shocked. I'm just not. I mean,
no.
Think about this. Star Citizen is going to be coming out soon, according to their president, right? It's coming out soon. What if after all the millions and millions and tens of millions of money that they've gotten through Kickstarter and whatnot, they do the same thing? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
I mean that
game's been in development for 10 years.
That would be crazy. That'd be actually crazy. The funny thing is that like I've had so many people reach out to me wanting me to cover Star Citizen in some way, and like the lore for that, as a product, not like the actual in-game lore. I just mean like the lore of Star Citizen as a game is so thick, so deep. There's so much to try to learn and figure out that even after like hours of me like looking into it, I still don't really know anything about it. Nor do I really even have a good picture for like what the game is supposed to be when it releases.
I believe it is supposed to be somehow tied to Wing Commander, and that's an old PC series of games. I'm gonna try it when it comes out if it's good. I'm gonna try. I love space. I'm a space nerd.
Well, I mean, I like the general premise.
But yeah, I don't know what the game is either. I mean, you've got wild things where people are saying that they're, you can buy a ship for $10,000, like real money.
There's more. You can definitely buy a ship for far more than 10 grand.
Well, I get it, but it's shit like that, and like that right there is already enough for me to be like, if that's not pay to win, I don't know what it is.
Yeah, because you're literally gonna have some dude in a a $500,000 destroyer, just,
just janking fools. You know what I mean?
That's why do you think they're spending the money? So it looks cool? No, they're spending it because they want to be the god of this game when this game fully releases. And I don't really know exactly what kind of environment that's going to create for the players. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like there's a lot of really cool things that they have, like concepts that they have, because it really does feel like I can literally just be a space adventurer.
Yeah,
I can start my own,
super cool.
Yeah, I can start my own business. Mark and I, you and I could be like, hey, dude, do you know what? Let's be miners, and we're gonna go sell like mining. We're gonna go search planets for ores that we can sell, and we're gonna start our own trading operation. Like it literally has that much open-endedness. At least that's what they have on offer. But it's like, what does that open-endedness mean in the context in which you have people rolling around in $150,000 ships that can just delete you in a second? And then from what I understand, like I like you can't even if your ship's lost or destroyed, like it costs to be able to get it back or get a new one or get it fixed. So it's just like, man, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know about that. To me that just feels like gambling at that point.
And the funny thing is that I like my conception of the game could be completely wrong. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it could be.
It could be completely wrong, but that's the energy the game gives out. So I don't know. You know what I mean? I don't know. That's the energy they give out. That's how that's how varied the information is about the game, and that's how varied my feelings are on it.
Yeah. Like I think I saw like a demo for it. Not like but it was like a gameplay video, and it looked kind of cool. It was on a planet. It was a planet based, like you can get out of your ship and all that kind of stuff. That looked super cool. But then I was like, you know what? I just put it on the back burner because I'm still in the mindset like until the game comes out, to me it doesn't exist. It just doesn't exist. I don't think it's going to. But like I said, we'll see.
We'll see. Big ships require a crew to operate. They are not paid to.
Yeah, they're not paid to. You got to put these on it. Pay to.
Oh, like because you need other people to be able to operate. I mean, this is like I don't know, but yeah.
I'll just bring a couple pals with me. Don't have to pay them nothing.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe we can buy those too.
Scare them sheeps right into flying.
Maybe we can buy those too. Yeah. So speaking of space,
the final frontier.
So we were jamming out on Helldivers 2.
We were.
And I was wondering because like you obviously have far less time in it than I do.
Yes, far less.
It's 100% a game to play with people. I do not 100%. Log in. I rarely log in to play if I'm not on stream or if I don't have friends to play it with.
Yeah.
Like I every once in a while I'm feeling a little spicy. I'll hop in with some randoms, you know what I mean? But for the most part, it's just one of those games where like it's so social. You know what I mean? Like it feels good to play socially. I love streaming the game, by the way. I absolutely like, and I'm somebody that doesn't really normally really like streaming a lot. Or not streaming a lot, but like I don't like streaming games.
Yeah. Streaming while you're like invested in a game while you're playing, yes.
Yes. I like to play a game and just pay attention to the game, and that's it. That's all I do. I like to turn my brain off and just go goblin mode and then call it a day, right? So but this game definitely breaks that habit for me, or not that habit but that feeling, and that's definitely something that I appreciate about it. But now that you've had a little bit more time into the game, I was actually wondering like what are your thoughts on it?
I think it's terrible. I think it's completely overrated. I think that they're all the phobias that you could and ist that you can think of. I think the game's fantastic. It is one of the funnest games I've played in a long time. Um, as a live service game, I don't think there's one better. I don't think this might be the most perfect live service game you can get. Honestly, you know what? You know what season they're on? Do you know?
No. What season?
They're on season 2. Did you know that?
Season of Discovery.
Did you know that they're on season 2? Yeah, they're on season 2, folks. Guess what you didn't see? An announcement for season 2. They just gave you new war bonds.
I mean, I don't even think they even like classify the game in a seasonal context.
But it is. Yeah, they do. I read the article. It's season 2.
Oh, really?
Season 2. Yes. So, like, that's what I'm talking. That's what you're talking about. They did not build their season off of a mechanic.
Hold on. Did the developer themselves specifically say that, or was that like the writer that said
that was Kotaku. That was Kotaku, dude. It's right. It was the developer.
Okay.
On Kotaku. Anyway, but no. Anyway, I think the game's fantastic. I think the game has a lot of. They have a lot of things that they could work on, like where we got a procedurally generated map that was, and you had said you had never run into this before, but we literally had to walk the entire map through it like a snake of land through the entire water region, and it just est all over the. I mean, it probably took a good, which in game 4 minutes in game is a long time.
Yeah, no, actually, I wish I would have captured footage of that, to be honest. Yeah. I don't think I did last night, but we ended up because like with some people don't know this, but a lot of the maps are procedurally generated, or all the maps are procedurally generated, and as such, what ends up happening is, actually, I wouldn't probably say all of them. I bet some of them aren't. I don't know. I'll have to look into that, actually. But one of the things that I will say is that I have not run into like a bad procedurally generated map, but we ran into the worst one I have ever seen, ever. It puts Starfield's planets to shame. We started, to try to give you the best picture of this, there was like massive oceans on both sides, and there was one path in the middle that would go all the way up, and then it would loop around the other side of the map. So it was linear. Like the whole map was linear. Basically, the AI designed it in a linear fashion. So we dropped in on the low end. We went to the and it's one of those maps too where you couldn't see anything because there was like fog over the screen, so you couldn't see what the actual map design itself looked like. Otherwise, we probably would have planned ahead. Yeah. We dropped in the worst place. Had to run from the very bottom of the map straight north, then go all the way around the western corner down to the objective, go back all the way north to the main objective, finish that, then travel back down south before traveling all the way back up north and then around again to be able to go to extract.
Yeah.
No way for you to get across the oceans. There was just one little path in the middle, and then water on both sides, and then a map on this side and part of a map on this side. It was the ugliest, it took so long.
Yeah, it just took a long time. I mean, they've got a lot of things to work on, I think. But it looks like they've made a lot of changes since I played last. It was weird. I think there was 2 planets, or 2 missions that we had gone on that just the spawn base of enemies was very, very low. Like it was very low.
Well, I mean, to be fair, you and I were playing on lower difficulty.
Yeah, but
right?
Still,
because like
I hadn't run into that yet.
You hadn't played enough. You don't have a lot of stratagems unlocked. I'm not going to drag you onto like level 7 and 8 difficulty because I'm not going to have a good time. Yeah. You know what I mean? I'm not going to have a good time. You're going to be struggling. You're not going to be learning anything, and that's just not fun. They definitely lowered spawn rates on lower difficulties, but you notice that the minute that I kicked it up to 6.
It got heavy pretty quick.
Yeah, I turned it up 1 notch, and all of a sudden like 6s feel like 9s.
Yeah.
So
it was just like I don't know. They have to find that perfect blend of you don't want it to be too sparse and you don't want to be too heavy. You know what I mean? There's like
I
no
don't.
gap in between there. It just didn't. I don't know. It didn't feel.
I just don't think they want the game to be predictable.
That's fair.
I think I think it kind of comes down to a little bit of that. I think that they just don't want the game to become predictable, and I think that's probably their biggest fear. And I kind of understand that because predictability is something that we become relatively used to, especially in the realm of live service. Everything is so staged, everything is planned for, everything's revealed. You know what I mean? Like we already know everything that's going to happen in the next Diablo season 4 is going to be coming soon. They're going to do a full 2-hour developer talking about all the changes, talking about the things, the seasonal mechanic, talking about the narrative and the story and things like that. So much so that there's nothing for us to discover once the game is, or once we go to play it. You know what I mean? And I do feel like in some sense Arrowhead doesn't really want the game to become predictable in any means.
No. And I was reading the comments earlier. Someone said, I think it was Dave Langer. And I don't want to. Basically, he said how the game like makes you feel like you're accomplishing something even though you aren't. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, like to me, like it's just a lot of fun. Like we're trying to push the terminates back. That it almost seems like that bar, the what is that blue bar? What is it called? Anyway, the pushback bar. It almost seems arbitrary.
Oh, you're talking about the liberation.
Yeah, the liberation bar,
right.
like it because I mean you've got 200. Like when we were playing, we had like 200 something thousand people on that planet doing this stuff. We just knocked out 3 missions. Like to myself, I feel like, oh yeah, we moved that. We had to move that a little bit, and then you go back out and nothing's changed. So I mean, like I get it on that aspect, but to me, like the game's just fun just to go do the missions. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think that so like one of the things that I've seen like kind of pop up in discussions lately around Helldivers 2 is that I've seen a lot of threads start online where people are talking about, how there needs to be changes there needs to be an end game. There needs to be changes and there needs to be this. I think this kind of end game will make players the most happy, stuff like that. And the funny thing is that like this is just me. This is a personal opinion. You're welcome to completely disagree with me. I just don't really think that kind of mindset suits this game. And I also don't think that kind of mindset needs to be a part of every live service or any game. I think that it suits some games for sure, right? I look at a game like Grand Blue Fantasy Relink. Yeah, you want to have some type of end game. You're building up these characters. You want to get, more equipment and more items for them, but you're trying to look for, different varied types of equipment and things like that. You have that RNG part of the game. Having an end game grind makes sense to a game like that. Action RPGs makes sense to a game like that. A PvE game where we're fighting an ongoing, galactic war doesn't really make a lot of sense in that. Like what end game grind? You know what I mean? Like what are you farming for? And the funny thing is I could be wrong and they could totally go in the direction of that where we don't know this, but let's say faction bosses do become the end game grind for people. You know what I mean? That could be the case. That could end up happening.
Yeah, but there's like, okay, there's 2 things I want to say about this. One, there aren't drops in the game other than like samples. So like there's nothing to go in game for. Does that make sense? Other than just doing it.
I think it's like Destiny brain.
Maybe
it's Destiny players coming to look for the new Destiny and trying to make that trying to make
even
this game
even then you get loot. You know what I'm saying? You get loot as a reward. Like there is no loot other than getting more war bonds to be able to buy stuff out of it.
Or you mean like samples, requisition slips, currencies, and stuff like that.
Stuff like that. And the second part of that is I can understand. Like for me, who's only put in, I think I've got like 8 hours, 9 hours, maybe probably more, probably 10. I can like for me, it's fun because I'm taking it in samples. I'm not no lifing it. You understand what I'm saying? Eventually, it'll get to a point that these missions are all the same. I can see where they would get that, but they could also change to different planets. You know what I'm saying? And I think a lot of it is the environment and the objective that you're doing on that environment. I feel like you could end up doing samey over and over and over again, and feel like I need something new. I need to go do this. I need something else to do. I get that. I can get where they're coming from. I just don't think it needs it.
So G-Man. Big shout out to G-Man with the 10 or the 20 euro. Appreciate that, man. Thank you so much. So I don't know, man. Like I see people even like saying in chat right now too, like, you know, self-delusion and game is barely out for a month and people are always questioning about the end game. You know, I recently watched a video that was talking about like how like streamers ruined gaming, and there really is this mentality of trying to squeeze everything out of a game and trying to like try hard a game and make a game a life accomplishment more than just playing a game to enjoy it. And like there's like the thing is like when I look at Helldivers 2 and I see like what your end game loop is, the funny thing is that players that have already maxed out, that already have unlocked everything in the newest war bond, that are level 50 and are probably still stacked with other stuff, you know what I mean? They're still playing the game, but that's just because that's how the game is. Like, we don't know what the game is going to include. We don't know what the game is going to include in, you know, what? A week from now? Like, a week from now? Tomorrow? Yeah. We don't know what the next...
next month, next week, next year. You don't know.
Yeah. Nixie just says, enjoy the ride. Yeah, it is about enjoying the ride. And that's what players kind of have to do. Players have to kind of realize that we're looking at a game like this. We don't know what could happen next week. Next week could be faction bosses. We'd have no idea what the next major order is. While players definitely knew that mechs were coming, right? Because we saw they put out propaganda posters saying that mechs were in mechs were being manufactured, like manufacturing or production. They're in production right now at facilities. So we knew that they were going to be coming to the game, but then all of a sudden we wake up and they throw out a major order saying, hey, we need to go defend this mech facility. And then bam, the next day, you know, after we complete that objective, they're in the game. You know, like there was no, it's such a really refreshing take on a live service when you look at it from kind of like a top-down angle and realize that, you know, this isn't the kind of game that's going to have the things that a lot of players are used to from other live service games. Yeah. And I think a really good example of that is just how they continually release content, and they do it it's almost like drip feeding, right? It's almost like drip feeding more than anything else. It's one of those things where instead of I need to beat the game and rush all the content and do everything I possibly can, and then I'll take a break and I'll go play something else or go do something else, and then I'll come back to it when they release new content. Instead, like that new content could be tomorrow. You don't know. I mean, like
they threw in flying bugs, and I haven't seen them yet.
They're not real.
Okay,
that's bug sympathizer propaganda.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, the CEO said specifically that's not real. So yeah,
it's not. Is it? Yeah.
Doctored images. I think somebody had a really good explanation.
Fake
something
news.
Like swamp gas, I think is what it was. Like reflections of swamp gas.
Yeah, it was a weather balloon.
Yeah. The CEO came out and said everybody knows bugs can't fly. So yeah. So yeah, there's that. There's that.
Which is horrifying in itself. I'm already like, I get jump scared all the time just on the ground. Now I've got to keep my eyes above that. Come on, bro. Come on.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah. It's one of those things where it's like, I think that you're going to have some players that aren't going to like it because it feels so foreign, because they're so used to like the predictability of many other live service games. But there's kind of like no reason to like push and rush to like get into the end game grind. This isn't a sweat fest. You're not going to get famous streaming this game and playing it online and playing it competitively or like with a competitive attitude. You know what I mean? Like that's the reason why I think there was a lot of players that were like really against the meta discussions of the game, is because it just doesn't really suit a game like this. While like obviously most effective tactics available are going to be, you know, used in any game that you're going to play, because players are going to gravitate to the things that work the best. With that said, just the way that people were approaching that kind of discussion, and like, and I also saw it too, like a lot of the content that was being generated around that discussion, players pushed back on. Like, even though there was a lot of people that were watching and interacting with a lot of that stuff, I looked and a lot of people were reacting to it negatively. It's like, keep this shit out of our game. We don't want this. You know, like, what's the meta now? Testing the meta. Game still fit. Like, bro, like, there's people that are out. I've seen videos that are out there of people like literally just trashing the game because of like how they don't like the meta as it is right now. Game still feels like ass. New meta sucks. Blah 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 blah. And it's just like, bro, just go play fucking Call of Duty.
I'm gonna do, everything should have rock paper scissors, and what I mean by that is you should always have something beat something, and it's a cycle. Okay, could you imagine in that game if there was just one gun to rule them all, how boring that would be?
Yeah,
just running around with the same gun, it kills everything. You're good. Why you need another gun? It's boring. Like you have to have a circle. You have to have, okay, well, I should use this for this and this for that and that for that, right? Then you build your squad out with all those type deals, knowing what you're jumping into, like you did carrying the rocket launcher.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Stuff like that. You just like I don't get people. I don't know why they think that this game needs to even have a meta in the first place.
I mean, it's going to have it. Like, every game's
it's going
have
to.
It.
It's going to.
Like, the most effective strategies are going to emerge. Period. But the thing is that, like, you know, with as much pushback as we saw during the first balance patch, the amount of people that were upset about it, and then the people that were also defending the company on the other side that were upset at the people that were upset about it was absolute gamer mess more than anything else. But it also kind of goes to show, like, how fake and how reactionary that kind of reaction is in the first place. Because the thing is that personally right now, like, dude, I think the game feels far better than it did before. I love the way the game plays now. Like,
it was pretty smooth.
Like, with the way that things work, I think it's awesome that you know, like, especially like the change with like the expendable anti-tank rifles, being able to drop those all over the map anytime that you want and being able to have access to that helps you be able to take care of chargers relatively quickly if you have good aim and time your shot.
Saw a variant of one that we hadn't seen before.
Yeah, that was crazy,
wasn't it?
Yeah,
kind of looked like a Triceratops.
For my Helldivers in chat, have you guys seen the Behemoth charger? Because I saw it last night for the first time. 100 hours of gameplay, first time I've ever seen it. Never seen it before. Big, spiky, crazy looking charger.
Yeah, it's got like big,
like heavily
big
armored
mandibles coming off of it, like sharp.
Yeah. I was like, bro, like I don't even know how to really even approach this topic, but I think that the bugs are evolving. Yeah, well, I think that they're mutating. They're becoming,
well, they might be. It might be all the fumigation that you've done. They've actually
could be. Yeah, they're gonna adapt. They're gonna adapt, right?
Yeah.
So so yeah, I think that personally, I think the game feels just a hell of a lot better to play. I love being able to drop like an expendable anti-tank or use like the recoilless rifle, get a perfect headshot lined up on a charger, take them out immediately, and then on top of that, the nice thing is that what that allows is the rest of the party, as well as like myself, to be able to cycle our stratagems to be able to take care of like some of the larger threats like Bile Titans and stuff like that much easier, rather than relying on, you know, I have to use this support weapon to be able to take care of this, the one only support weapon that was working at the time. And to be honest with you guys, I don't know how you guys feel about this, but like, I think that like using an EAT or using a recoilless rifle is a hell of a lot more fun than trying to shoot out one of their legs. Like, it's just more fun, more engaging gameplay that makes for like better, more cooler moments while playing.
Experience, yeah. Like when I was waiting for you to turn that bug, and I don't know if you knew that I was sitting there aiming on it, and I just smushed its face with that, rocket launcher.
Yeah. Yeah, awesome. and I think too, like the other thing is like also the flamethrower, bro. I've been having way too much fun with the flamethrower.
Yeah, you have. Killing me with the flamethrower has been awesome.
Yeah, no, you step onto my fire.
No.
I don't shoot it at you. You're the one that's like, oh, what's all this fire on the ground? I wonder if that's warm.
No.
Yes, I've watched you do it.
I'm pretty sure you're like, I wonder if Mark's armor's flame retardant.
You want to know what's really funny? I have receipts.
I don't want to see any.
I like how you're trying to make up a story for the guy that records most of his footage.
Shit.
So gaslighting so hard. Yeah. Guess what, Mark? Facts don't care about your feelings.
Yeah,
or your
I've been
fire,
married. I've been married a long time.
retardants.
I'm used to that. Just arguing to argue.
Yeah.
I didn't do that.
Yeah. Yeah. And the funny thing, and I've also seen like some people talk about like the railgun now. I just saw somebody bring it up recently. Like there's people that feel like the railgun's useless. The funny thing is if you have somebody that's already coming with you, that's bringing EATs or a recoilless rifle, then that means you could easily have another person that's bringing the railgun, and then that's your guy that's taking care of the like light armored enemies, because you can literally just ting ting take care of them, no problem. Railgun's also really good for hulks. I feel like the railgun's much better suited for fighting bots than it is for bugs now, but it is really good for like lighter, like medium and light armored bugs. So yeah, no, I feel like the balance is in a much better place, and they obviously have a vision for things. They're looking for dynamic gameplay that challenges players, and one of the things that I've noticed as a result of all of this and this change is that more players are paying attention to what other players are bringing. Before they made this change, almost every single time that I queued with randoms, everybody had a railgun, everybody had the rail cannon stratagem, the nuke stratagem, and a laser stratagem. Or maybe they would have an EMS mortar or something like that. Please don't change the EMS mortar. I love that thing so much. But it's made me actually start to experiment with a lot of stuff. That's why I'm hoping that you're going to start playing more often. So that you can start
I got this is my last week, and then we'll be I'll be done.
Then you go back to day shift.
Back to day shift, baby. No, I got to see the intercontinental. I got to see the big nuke go off last night, which was super dope. It was super cool to watch.
Yeah, Mark never got to see the nuke before. So last night, I made sure to take him over onto a mission where Mark could see us launch an ICBM, and he.
I yelled America. I'm just letting y'all know that happened while I was watching it.
He did.
So
he did. Yeah, it's one of the most satisfying missions you can do, and I never get tired of it. Especially when you get to hear the sonic boom after it goes off.
Yeah. The cape starts flapping. Oh, yeah. Dude, that was gets you rigid.
Yeah, it's super good. It's super good. Which one of the other things too with Helldivers 2 that I was thinking about as well is that I didn't realize this until now, but like, so they have 9 levels of difficulty. Mm-hmm. I've been playing a little bit of Helldivers 1, so you guys know I'm doing a little bit of research. And as such, I realized that they have way more levels of difficulty on Helldivers 1. I think it goes up to like 14 or 15 or something like that, if I remember off the top of my head. So like right now, the maximum difficulty on Helldivers 2 is 9. There's like another 5 or 6 levels of difficulty that they may add in the future for Helldivers 2. 15. Okay, 15 level. Yeah, there you go. So, which, by the way, if you guys are not in the Discord, join the Discord, because I need a couple people to be able to play Helldivers 1 with. Because I need to learn some stuff. I need to look at some things. I need to do some stuff. So get in the Discord. Let me know. Go to the Helldivers section and say, I am here to play Helldivers 1. And I will talk to you. So.
But if you don't say that, he will never talk to you.
Ever.
So,
but one of the things is that I realized that like with this last patch that they had, not the last patch, but the last major order that we had to deploy Termicide, one of the really cool things that ended up one of the really cool things that That's what it's called.
I get it.
That's what it's called.
I get it. It just now dawned on me. That's what it's called, and I don't. I'm a 12-year-old boy. So
okay. So anyway, so they use termicide, and when you turn on these termicide towers, basically what ends up happening is that they you have to defend the tower. So it has like these panels around it, and if the bugs touch it or attack the tower itself, it'll basically go into critical, and then you have to start the whole process over again. You have 3 of those towers to be able to defend. And I realized that even though they have like up to level 9 difficulty, they have other ways through missions to be able to create difficulty.
Okay, just harder type objectives.
Yeah, like that was a really tough objective. Like being able to defend a massive structure from all sides, massive circular structure from all sides, different levels of terrain on each side. One's like there's on one of them there was like a big downhill area. Then you have another area where some stairs are. Like it's a pretty wide. There's another one that's like a real wide open area, so it's really easy for a lot of the bugs to be able to get to that. But it created this like different level of difficulty and a completely different style of gameplay, like a much more like see kind of like the defense missions, but much more actually defense because you are literally defending something. Yeah. Where defense missions you're just defending yourself, you're defending your own life. In this you're actually defending a structure. You have to keep the bugs off of it, which is tough. Yeah. And I really like that. I think that was a really cool idea. And I also really like the idea that they have of like how they can set up these kind of like set piece mission structures. And it really wasn't what I was expecting, but it is something for sure that is I don't know how to say this. It is something that I will say it does a really good job of creating variety in the gameplay in ways that I didn't really expect initially.
Yeah, I get that. I think what's super smart about like going and playing 1 a little bit, I'm getting this like they literally just made the game 3-dimensional, moved it over. So you kind of have an outline of the kind of stuff that's possible in the realm of possibility of what they're going to bring over, right? Yeah. Like ATVs, tanks, stuff like that, right? But not. You said there's a motorcycle.
Yeah, I was playing Helldivers 1. There's a motorcycle. Yeah, sidecar.
One thing I thought that was super cool about Helldivers 1 when we tried it, or when we tried it, but we didn't play it together. It was that you are forced on the same screen, like you're not leaving the same screen.
Yeah, that was weird.
Which was I was like, at first I was like, this kind of sucks, but then I was like, you know what? This game's supposed to be played as a team. You're a team. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Which the funny thing is, you see that philosophy is kind of reflected in Helldivers too, right? Like they don't really want players to go off on their own. And I think that's something that's pretty important, and it's something that I noticed. Like, it's something that I noticed a lot. I don't know, more recently, especially when you get on like the higher difficulties. Like, I think there's a lot of value in being able to have that one person that is good to go on their own, that you can trust to be able to go and pick up minor objectives, pick up samples, pick up super credits, pick up medals and stuff like that. Especially at higher difficulties, because you can really rake it. You can really rake it in higher difficulties. Like having a scout. That's the reason why they have scout armor in the game to begin with. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because there are armor sets that you can use, and there is stealth mechanics in the game that you're supposed to use. Otherwise, they wouldn't put stealth mechanics in the game. You know what I mean? Like if you're if you're crawling on the ground, you limit the ability for enemies to see you like greatly. And then you can get armor and stuff like that on top of it that'll increase that even further. But yeah, I think that a lot of the changes that they made in their balance patch, and then even more so like when they came out with like the termicide towers and stuff, like there are just more ways for them to be able to not only put in different levels of difficulty through missions, but also make players work together in ways that they maybe weren't before. And I think specifically with those tower missions, one of the things that I noticed, and I saw a couple people that were, I saw a couple people that were mentioning it, but that did actually take a level of coordination. Even if you were not playing with microphones or anything like that, you wanted to make sure that you had somebody that was like, you know, I don't know, bringing like a one of the arc towers, like the arc turret or whatever. Definitely EMS turrets or mortars are just so damn useful in basically every situation, but they were really, really good for that. You know, having a couple people with mechs to call in, because I'm sorry, but if you can use a mech appropriate, like the right way, I noticed that a mech could basically almost carry an entire silo by itself. So like using those kind of things, knowing when to use them, how to space that kind of stuff out, that kind of stuff is exactly what Arrowhead wants the game to become. And I think that what they noticed is that players were falling into habits that were making them far too self-sufficient. And that's not the game they made. That's not the game they want.
Yeah, which, you know, it's not the player's fault either. That's just kind of how live service games are, is you want your runs to be the most efficient as possible, right? So like it makes sense. It makes sense. I mean, that's almost with any game like that.
Which I find it kind of weird that like players are kind of giving that kind of sense, like that self-sufficient sense, because maybe is that something like coming from like Destiny? Because like from my perspective, from what I remember from playing Destiny, is that like most of the like highest level content in the game does require like considerable coordination in a team with mics.
Yes and no, but yeah, I mean it does take, like, you're not doing it micless, that's for sure. You're just not.
Like the dungeon puzzles, like the raid puzzles and raid mechanics.
Yeah,
like you have to communicate with that stuff. I can't see you not being able to.
Yeah,
not unless everybody's like fucking absolutely cracked, right?
But I'm just talking about, I mean, you're doing you're using Destiny as an example because they're kind of close because they're both shooters. But look at it like with ARPGs, MMOs like World of Warcraft, whatever. You're always trying to go the most efficient run as possible. Like this goes back to what I was saying earlier. I get it, if you have no life this game, you feel like you're doing the same thing over and over and over again. So obviously you're gonna want to do it as fast as possible, right? And so I think that's what I was trying to make the point was, people are trying to do it as fast as possible. That's why they get efficient. But like ARPGs are the same way. Destiny, for the most part, like just your normal strikes, not your in-game stuff, but just your normal missions. Yeah. Even I'm like, when I was playing Destiny, I'm guilty of it. I will leave people behind and just run through it and just smoke it as fast as possible just to get on to the next one.
Yeah. So, and the thing is too, is like I've seen a pretty big discussion kind of pop up in Helldivers 2 recently, where basically like I saw Goliathan, maybe that's what his name is. I can't remember his name off the top of my head.
I think it's Goliathan.
Yeah, I saw that there was like basically a video or a tweet that he put out that was describing exactly what you could do to be able to farm like the maximum number of super credits per hour or something like that. And there was a lot of people that got upset about that kind of thing. Gothalion. Okay. So,
Gothalion.
Or Gothalon? I don't know, man. That's not going to help.
That dude that did this video.
Gothalion. That's what it is. Gothalion.
Goliathan's better. His mom's huge. Dad's small. It's a love story. So.
Anyway. So there was a bunch of people that were really upset because he put out like basically a how-to to be able to farm the maximum amount of super credits per hour or something crazy like that. And one of the things that I will say is this, is that like I don't hate on people for making the content that they want to make or anything like that, but I do think that kind of mindset, that, you know, it's fine putting the information out there, but I also do understand why some people would be upset with it, because they look at it and they go, well, this game doesn't need that. Like, you don't need to worry about trying to like, well, I understand people are going to want to. So it's like that weird space that you're in where you're like, but the game is literally built so that you don't have to do that stuff anymore. You don't have to worry about how to farm the most currencies per hour and maximize every minute of your gameplay because the war bonds don't expire. The game, none of this content expires. So it's built in a way that you don't have to bring those habits or mentalities to this kind of game because it's not necessary for this kind of game. But I do, and then you also have like people on the other side that feel like it's somehow ruining their experience, which I understand where they're coming from as well, because you know what they're thinking. They're afraid that a lot of this kind of content is just going to lead to the developer nerfing things that don't need to get nerfed. The only reason why, people are earning too much premium currency too quickly is because people are over optimizing their play.
Okay.
So, giving you an example, people are out there right now that are farming over 100. They're farming 1,000 super credits every 2 hours, and the developer goes, it's a little much, and they nerf it, which then completely ruins that experience for the vast majority of casual players that weren't making 1,000 super credits every 2 hours. The vast majority of players were only earning maybe like 150 per play session. But now, because of this small subsection of maximized gameplay, I gotta go as hard as I can. Because of those guys, now all of a sudden, those players, the vast majority of players who are playing the game relatively casually, get like 10 super credits for fucking like 6 hours of gameplay.
Yeah.
That's the worry of people in the community, and they're justified.
I don't disagree with that. I mean, the one of the wonderful things about this game is that it isn't pay to win. You know what I mean? Like all the stuff that you can buy with real money in the store is relatively cheap and easy to get that money in game to do. You know what I mean? So it's not like a Diablo having a $70 horse or something. You know what I mean? It's literally just a couple bucks that you can earn in game and buy a rotational.
Bro, North got me. He got me with that. You can see that he's the fastest way to be able to earn super credits is to work an hour of overtime.
Not according to Uncle Sam. So sorry, bud.
Yeah. So out of the experiences that you've had with the game so far, so you got to play like a little bit of Helldivers 1. And like there's a lot of people talking about like what they think for like what a potential end game could look like for the game and things like that. Is there anything that you're looking forward to or you would like to see in the game or see the game do in the future? Is there something that you're like, man, I can't wait for them to do this?
So those giant worms that I heard about,
the skeleton that I showed you.
Yeah.
There's one on screen actually.
Yeah, that'd be super cool. From
there.
one, the
like whipping my camera around. Well, you can see their bones. Their bones are all over the place. There's these massive bone structures over some of the new planets that we unlocked.
You get it right, Jiminy.
No,
Christmas.
I'm under pressure.
So the ATV where it holds the 4 players and all of them get a gun except for the driver, I think is super, super cool. I don't know how they would incorporate it into this game. Honestly, I don't know. But I think that would be a cool addition personally. We were playing what's the game type called where it's just like a super small map and you literally just have to kill everything as it comes in and then
it's just a defense mission. Yeah,
So I just set up on a rock because all 3 of y'all had mechs and I still outkilled y'all. So mechs suck. No, I'm just kidding. I thought it was super cool to be able to see how that was doing and still win and be better than everybody. So I don't know, but just like I said, they've kind of given us a glimpse, I guess. If you look at 1, you can kind of glimpse of where they're gonna like what kind of stuff they can add in, and so it's just gonna be on how they implement it and how they do it. So that's basically what I'm looking for.
I thought the clip was here and I was gonna show it to you guys, but I couldn't find it. So there was this.
It didn't happen.
No, so there was this moment where no, like, it definitely did happen because it was a loss, it was a death. So we got to this like open area, and I don't think it was with you. I think I was playing with somebody else at the time. We got to this wide open area, and it had a ton of the bile spewers, the like hive bile spewer, like the ones that are like armored, the ones that do actual mortar strikes, basically from like across the map. And there was like 15 of them. So there's just mortars raining from all directions. I'm the last one alive. I'm doing my best. I'm doing my part. I collected all the samples. Everything's good. And then I go and step like onto the platform of the ship to leave. We were out of reinforcements. We had to go. It was time to get out. And we couldn't call any more reinforcements in because I think the timer ended up running out or something like that. And I go to step onto the platform to get onto the ship, and a mortar drops directly in the middle of the ship. It didn't damage me. It just knocked me back. When it knocked me back, I hit the ground, and then I slid directly under a charger and a huge group of bugs. And that was just it. Because once you're under them, you can't get up, you can't move, you can't do anything. You just die. And I'm just like, this is just the saddest thing I've ever seen in my life. Like, this is like, I'm like, what are the chances of this exact thing happening? Me just perfectly sliding directly underneath the charger. Like, wow. Helldivers 2.
Who did we play with last night? What was his name? Bo from the Discord. Anyway,
I don't know. There's people from the Discord, yeah.
Yeah, it was like that was kind of cool having someone from the Discord come in and just jam with us. That was kind of fun.
I've largely only been playing with either friends or people from the Discord or people from like the live streams, which has been really nice. It's been really nice, especially because most of the people that end up joining are like level 50s that know exactly what they're doing, and I don't have to have my like full attention on the game. I can pay attention to I can pay attention to everybody. Also, Ultima D, thank you for the sub. 3 months, man.
Must be Boozabork. That's who we played with.
Yeah. We had a whole group going last night. That was nice.
Yeah, that was fun.
So yeah, by the way, if you're watching right now and you're not a member of the Discord, make sure that you join the Discord. Link is in the description below, and we have people that are waiting and wanting to play Helldivers 2. I think for me, the one thing that I'm looking forward to the most is the faction bosses. I've probably said it a million times by now. And I'm really interested to see how they tackle faction bosses outside of what they made in Helldivers 1. Because in Helldivers 1, like it was like telegraphed attacks, things like that. Yeah. Almost kind of reminds you of like I don't know, Diablo, ARPG kind of style, telegraphs and stuff. I'm really interested to see what they pull off with Helldivers 2. I'll be honest with you. The last game that I think did boss fights incredibly well in a third-person shooter is Returnal.
Yeah, Returnal boss fights were, it's pretty crazy.
Returnal boss fights were something else, man.
Remnants aren't bad either for third-person shooter.
Yeah. I mean, Remnants a little bit different because it's like an RPG more than anything else, but
yeah.
I feel like Returnal is a little bit closer, even though the gameplay is different because one's more like a bullet hell / roguelite. You know what I mean?
I got you.
But yeah, I'm really interested to see exactly how they pull it off because what I'm hoping is that it's a highly coordinated fight. I do not want them to make it to be something. Personally, this is me. I could you can tell me I'm wrong and you think it should be a different way. That's fine. It's just what I would like to see.
I wonder, what they should probably do, I guess, since they can't really telegraph the ground, they should probably telegraph or either done by comms of like targeted things to hit. Like everyone needs to focus fire on this section of the boss. Everyone needs to focus fire on this section of the boss. After that section's been popped, maybe like you pop the skin off, or say it was an automaton, it popped off a deal that someone has to hit it with an rocket launcher or something like that. I can see it working that way. That'd be pretty okay. But
Yeah.
I don't see. I just don't see how they could do any kind of like call out type, stuff like that. So I don't think you have to worry about that.
Yeah, I don't know. I think we'll have to wait and see. I'm really interested to see like when they start introducing the faction bosses and stuff like that. I think it's probably going to coincide with maybe like the introduction of a new faction.
Ooh, you say
there has been a development of sort. Some players have seen that there's been one player on the cyborg homeworld. And something that I didn't realize is that the automatons are technically the descendants of the cyborgs from the first Galactic War, which is basically what happened in Helldivers 1. So I think that's going to be, I don't know. I was thinking about that, and I'm like, because kind of looking at the map, it looks like there's going to be 4 factions. Automatons on one side, Terminate on the other. Whoever here and then whoever here. There's like 4 sections where you can see it kind of sectioned off. They could subsection if they really wanted to, but I'm really interested to see exactly what they end up doing, because I think it'd be really interesting if that ends up being the case, where it ends up being like a 4 faction fight.
That'd be kind of cool.
Yeah. I mean, you're because they really are trying to make it like, back against the wall, super Earth versus all kind of, battle royale.
Yeah, no, that'd be like I said, I like that they, if you versus Starfield, I was just sitting there thinking while we were talking about all the different like aliens and cyborgs and robots. There are more aliens types in this game than all of Starfield. And then I started thinking, that's not fair, right? And then I was thinking, you know what? The space travel, I don't have a loading screen. It just my deck just flies to the planet and then I jump in.
Also, the loading screen to like go down to a planet is usually pretty quick. I mean, sometimes it can be a little bit longer. Maybe it's like somebody's internet connection or something like that.
But it's cool. You're just watching them hell dive. You know what I mean? It's not like I'm just sitting there with a loading screen.
Yeah,
that's pretty dope.
Yeah, I'm really interested to see exactly what that ends up turning into. You
want to talk about Dragon's Dogma 2 a little bit? It's coming out Friday.
I'm not gonna say it for the just to be friendly to the old YouTube style AI driven moderation system. But it's funny that like for some odd reason, like the stream, I'll have to fix the Streamlabs moderator because I don't really have like a lot of active moderation going on my stream. It's kind of difficult to do so just because I don't really have a lot of folks for that. So I was trying to use the auto mod, and it's funny because it's kind of like it's moderating things that aren't actually offensive. So I'll have to look into that. It's kind of weird. It's funny. It's making people look like they were saying something bad and they weren't. But you know what the best part is? It's still showing it on stream anyway.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
So that's awesome.
Yeah,
that's
works.
Great. That's great.
Cheers. Cheers, Streamlabs.
Yeah. So yeah. Anyway, what else was I gonna say? Yeah, let's go ahead and talk about Dragon's Dogma.
All right. So for chat, if you didn't know, Ian does a series of videos. And it's basically is not what you think it is. Okay, that's the series of videos he does.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think any game has deserved is not what you think it is more than this game, Dragon's Dogma 2. Because this game is going to be hyper divisive. This is my opinion. This isn't a fact. I'm not speaking in absolutes. I think there's going to be a lot of casual gamers that buy this game not knowing what it is and are going to have a real bad time with it. They're going to have a real bad time with this game. I mean, just looking at fast travel, combat, not being able to dodge, roll, not be, they're going to be so used to thinking, like he even brings it up in the video itself, that like this is not Elden Ring. You know what I mean? So I think this game's gonna be hyper divisive. And me and him talked about it a lot while we were playing Saturday night about it. And I just like I'm super worried about this game. I think the game's it's gonna be successful sales wise, but I'm like super worried about what the community is going to how the community is going to react to it because um of just how the gameplay is. You know, this is not an easy, it's not like it's not a game that is of what all other RPGs like this are right now. It doesn't control that way. And so uh I think, Ian, you doing that type of service for this, I think is, even though, you know, I don't know how many people's watched the video or whatnot, but I wish more content creators did something like that because it helps temper the expectations for this game. Like I've already purchased the game. I've already pre-bought the game because I know we're gonna play it. I need to play it just to be able to talk about it on the podcast. I need to play it, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm only 70% sure I'm gonna enjoy this game.
Yeah. So for me, especially with the time that I played in Dragon's Dogma Dark Arisen, I'm more than 70% sure that I'm gonna enjoy the game much higher than that. But one of the whole reasons why I even wanted to have that kind of discussion of like tempering players' expectations to, you know, suit what the game is actually going to be is just because I paid attention to a lot of the conversations around the game. And you know what the funny thing is that like I got so much pushback from like a lot of different comments, like more so than I actually thought I would get. Well, like there was definitely like a fair share of people that were like relatively positive. There were a lot of people that were like, it's just like Dragon's Dogma. Everybody knows what this game is going to be because it's just like Dragon's Dogma Dark Arisen. And I'm like, I don't know what hole you live in that you think that a lot of people have played Dragon's Dogma. Like over the years, it definitely sold like a solid amount of copies, that's for sure. But I don't really remember Dragon's Dogma Dark Arisen or even the first just regular Dragon's Dogma before the expansion being a major talking point. The players that like the game love the game. The community around the game has been relatively active, very active, since even before Dragon's Dogma 2's announcement. And I think it's well worth a discussion when over the last 20 years of games, almost every single action RPG has had a dodge and parry mechanic. Almost every action RPG has a fast travel mechanic where anytime you want to, you can just zoom right back to town and then go back to doing what you were doing afterwards. Almost every RPG, wait and, while wait has been a mechanic, inventory space really hasn't been one. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, the preparation that's needed, you know what I mean? And the funny thing is that then, of course, you're going to have people that come in and they're going to go, well, especially when I was talking about like the preparation stuff, like how you need to like prepare before you go out to the field. They're like, oh, well, blast powder has something to say about that, or play as warrior with, this specific setup, or use, oh man, I can't remember exactly what they're called. There's an item, this consumable item that increases your attack power, like exponentially. You can have like, you can eat a bunch of them or use a bunch of them really quickly. Parry app, I think is what they're called. Parry apps. You can use those and it'll like double, triple, quadruple your strength. Then you go to attack something, you can like one shot some stuff. Well, yeah, like those kind of strats exist in just about every game. That's not what the actual genuine experience of the game is supposed to be like. Nor is that meta gaming going to be the, go-to experience for many players. More people are just going to play the game as it is. And I think that, I think it's worthwhile to have a discussion on a realistic idea of what the game actually is, what it has to offer, how it's going to play, and how that contrasts with many games that players have played in the past, and, kind of have that kind of context before going into buying it. There are people that definitely commented. They're like, dude, thank you for this video. This actually sold me on the game. Hey, I really appreciate you making a video like this because, I was on the fence, and now I kind of realized that I might want to wait a while before I purchase it. Maybe watch some other people play it first.
Yeah. I mean, and like, I'm not, and I see there's like kind of a mix in the chat, I kind of see that a little bit. When people say not a lot of people are going to buy this game, I'm talking about the casual gamer. Like, and we talked about this early in the podcast. Like, we use the term everybody a lot. Like, everybody's going to play this game.
Yeah.
And so everybody wants to move on to the next hot game. And as a casual gamer, if you watch the trailers for this game, it looks amazing. It looks like a fantastical RPG to play. And if you don't know what Dragon's Dogma is, like I said, it could be. It's not like it's not like the easiest pick up and go game. You know what I mean? So I think like I hope I'm wrong. Honestly, I hope I'm wrong. But like I think there's going to be a lot of casual people who buy this game, saying that it's the new pretty hot game to buy, and they're going to end up having buyer's remorse. So
yeah,
I just that's why I think your is it is not what you think it is series is really helpful to the consumer.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of like the purpose of it. And like even people are saying like I feel like it's gonna be like DD1, but even still like people have to realize like Dragon's Dogma 1 came out like I think somebody even said like 10 years ago, 11 years ago, or 12 years ago by now, something like that. That's a long time. There's a whole other generation of gamers that have never played Dragon's Dogma that may be going to play or might be into those kind of games now. You know what I mean? Like think about the fact that it's like maybe you know, somebody was, you know, when that game came out, they were 10 years old. You know what I mean? They weren't into those kind of games. They played fucking Minecraft. Now they're in their 20s and they're like, I like RPGs. I like action RPGs. I've grown up with Souls games. Mm-hmm. Now I'm going to go and give this game a try because this looks like it's kind of like a Souls game. You're going to have so many people that are like that. And I think it's worthwhile to have that kind of conversation to discuss whether or not the game is going to be worth it for them or whether it actually suits their headcanon for what the game is going to play like.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Like, man, it's just super crazy. Like like I think it's just a very divisive title. It really is. Because it looks beautiful. It looks like a heck of a lot of fun to play. So your cat is going to touch your face now. Yeah, there it is.
So
you don't know where his feet have been?
You don't know where my face has been.
Got him. So I just like I'm super concerned. Like, well, I wouldn't say concerned. I just like I feel it would be unduly just for this game. I even brought up when we were talking last night about
I need to turn off this damn thing. It's pissing me off. Go ahead. Keep talking.
Game reviewers. We know how piss poor game reviewers are at playing games. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So I'm curious to see how that's gonna unfold. Because this isn't an easy game. I mean, do you remember the Cuphead guy who couldn't get through the tutorial? Couldn't do the double jump or the jump dash? I mean, it's just stuff like that. Like it's, you know, I don't know. I think it's gonna. I think this game is gonna be really good. Like I said, I just think it's gonna shake some people off.
I turned off that bot. It was just like straight up just deleting people's messages for like nothing. They would say like I think somebody said like Cato, and then it's just like delete. Stop saying offensive things.
How dare you say something about Maddie the cat?
Stop talking about the cat. That's offensive. Cats are offensive. Dude, you have 15 minutes until it's your dinner time. You don't need to be over here trying to beg for food. I'm gonna feed him anyway. Just because otherwise he's gonna just keep doing this, like staring at me and questioning why he's even here. What am I doing?
Yeah, what are you doing with your life?
Like, I don't know. What are some like common misconceptions that you think people are gonna have? Like, what do you think are the one things that are gonna probably mislead some players to go to play the game and not realize that they,
This 100% the combat. 100.
Really?
For me, it's 100% the combat. Just like you just said, and you even said in the video, most of these people have grown up. You know, they didn't play the original when it came out. They grew up playing Dark Souls. Like my son, he grew up playing Dark Souls. He's 23 now. He doesn't want to play this game. He's even played Dragon Dog. He's played the first one. He doesn't want to play the game because, like I said, they've just like all RPGs have just came to this, you know, certain structure of how they control, and that's what's in people's mind. And when you go to where now you're having to just pay attention to your positioning and where you're at, and then having to rely on NPCs to help do the stuff, I just think it's just gonna throw some people off quite a bit. I don't know what y'all think in the chat. I don't know. It's just like we'll see. You got Asmon's going to be playing it, and I think he's probably even going to have a hard time with it the way it plays. So we'll just have to see. But I think for me, I think the combat is going to be 100% what is so divisive with it. And it's just the way it handles. I think the disparity of the 30 versus 60 frames thing, I don't think that's as big of an issue as a lot of people will make it out to be. But I mean, I did look at the specs today, which I was surprised. For a 1440p 30 frames per second experience on PC, you're expected to have a 2080 and a Ryzen 5 3600X, which isn't, I don't consider that to be like a low end. I consider that to be like a midfield computer right now. But it's super crazy that, you know, to get 30 frames per second is requiring a 2080. You know what I mean? That's just kind of crazy to me. Are you saying if it's not lagging, nobody cares? I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that. I think if your screen's tearing or it's kind of dragging, like, you know, it 30 frames per second it just doesn't look great. Especially on newer monitors that do like a higher refresh rate, it just doesn't look very good. Yep, see, like Nixie, he said that he saw in some cases on the in the mid 20s on the PS5. That's hard. That's rough. I mean, solid 30 is significantly better than a dipping. And this isn't like a PC versus console deal. I mean, that's a silly fight. So yeah, I'm not worried about how it's going to run for me personally. But yeah, that I can see how that could hang up some people too. People who just don't pay attention.
So yeah, I think the combat's just probably going to be the biggest.
I think that's the biggest.
I think it's going to be that combat. And just like general frustration from players that are not going to have a lot of the conveniences that they're used to in a lot of other RPGs.
Yeah.
The funny thing is, like, we always have this conversation all the time about how we want game studios to fulfill their creative vision, and we want them to do this, and we want a more hardcore and less handhold experience. But I really do think that there's going to be a lot of players that'll bounce right off it just because they're just not ready for what they're asking for.
Yeah.
Just because they're conditioned by other games to not be. You know what I mean? There's just been a lot of like repetition. This isn't a strike at the Souls games, by the way. So like for some odd reason, there were so many people that got so in their feelings because I had said that players had gotten used to games with Souls-like mechanics.
Yeah.
So Dark Souls, Elden Ring, good game. I know they are. I like them. They're some of my favorite games. I love the Dark Souls series. I loved Elden Ring. It's one of the greatest games made in the last 20 years. But players are used to playing games with those kind of mechanics and are going to be relatively surprised when the game doesn't have something similar.
Yeah.
It's so funny that it's just like and I'm not the funny thing is like you say something about Dark Souls or Elden Ring and what follows is not greatest game ever. Like you don't preface it with greatest game ever first, and all of a sudden you have these people up in arms over it. Funny thing is half those people probably didn't even beat the fucking game.
Imagine playing a first-person shooter nowadays that doesn't have a sprint. Or doesn't have
that's a good example, actually.
It doesn't have a jump.
Yeah, think about how foreign it feels to go and play a game that doesn't have a jump. Or like a mantle that works properly. Yep. Or, you know, things like that, right? Like those are things that are well worth talking about because while they don't actually while they don't actually take away from maybe the gameplay experience, maybe the game itself is still high quality. You're still going to have a good time playing it. At the same time, you know, it can help or can push players away from a game ultimately.
Yeah. I mean, Rebirth is it was a little weird for me to get used to at first because it doesn't have a jump. It has that, you know, you hit the whatever R2 or R1 to kind of mantle up or hop, like it does this weird hop up kind of deal.
Yeah.
So that took a little getting used to, but yeah, it's like when you take something that's been in their hands the entire time and you take that away, that's when they're going to notice it the most.
Well, because you look at a game like you look at a game like Dragon's Dogma, and it looks so similar in ways to a lot of fantasy games that we've played recently, a lot of RPGs, action RPGs that we played recently, that you would think and look at it and be like, oh yeah, it's going to play like a lot of games that I've already played. Players are going to go to pick it up and be like, wait a minute, the warrior can't roll around.
Yeah, I can't turtle roll.
Yeah, I can't roll around all the time. The mage has like the ability to levitate. Somebody used that as like what are you talking about? All the classes have a conventional movement skill. Like the mage can levitate.
Is that conventional?
One, it's not conventional, and two, it doesn't even work that way. It doesn't work in the way that you'd want it to, not to be able to like avoid damage. And that also means that like while you're levitating, you can't cast skills. You can't like levitate and cast while levitating. That's not how the game works. So it's like, what are you talking about? Like it's just not the same. The another example, the Mystic Spear Hand. So I talked to Rurikon. He came onto my stream. We chatted for a little bit during the week. I don't know if you caught that. But Rurikon came on to talk about Dragon's Dogma, his experiences playing it, because he went over to like a Capcom meetup where he got to play Dragon's Dogma for a couple hours. And one of the things that he brought up is that like the movement skill for the Mystic Spear Hand is actually like this orb that you like shoot out. It's a magic spell. Like you shoot a magic spell, you can hit enemies with it. You can use it to blow. You can time it so you can blow up the magic ability and it'll shock enemies. Or you can use it and click another button and be able to teleport to where you shot it.
That's kind of cool.
So like that's the movement ability for that class. That also means that it doesn't have a dodge roll. It doesn't have a parry. You know what I mean? Like that's I think that's the context that people keep losing sight of. And it's just like the game does not control in the way that you would normally play most all action RPGs, except for Dragon's Dogma. That's it. Yeah. So like that's worth discussing just on its own merit. Same thing goes for just the level of preparedness, as well as like I think like a lot of game like you can actually even see it I'll bring it up right now. See if I can actually show this on screen. So like the mini map in the game. I guess I can't. Oh, I can do it like this.
Yeah, just take us off. Yeah.
The mini map on the game, right down here, it does actually show that like you have like there's a quest marker and things like that. Like so there is things to be able to like direct you in a direction, but most quests in the game are all going to happen like through emergent gameplay. They're not going to be happening through oh hey, talk to this person. Now talk to this person, like because you see a big glowing marker above their head. So, and I think that's also going to be something that some players are going to look at and they're going to go, I don't know if I really like this, because they're going to have a hard time finding things. You're going to have a lot of people living through guides on this game.
It's a shame.
It is, because that's not the kind of game that we've been asking. We've been asking for more than that, right? We want games to give us more than that.
And every game, like this is, we talked about this a little bit with Helldivers. Not every game needs to be consumed in 2 sittings, consumed in 3 sittings. You know what I mean? Like, you can take the time to adventure through a game. You know what I mean? You can take your time. So that's, I don't know. Like I said, I just hope it does really well. I think the game looks really cool. The first one was so far ahead of its time that I think now it's time. You know what I mean? So I'm hoping that it does well. I'm just concerned of how the community is going to take it. You know what I mean? And go with it, but we'll see.
Yeah, I think overall, I think it's actually going to be. I think it's going to be received just fine. I think that most people are going to really like the game. I think the people that have the kind of opinions that are going to matter the most in the scope of the game are going to be the ones that people are going to kind of revolve around. I think that like big RPG fans are going to love the game. Simple as that. The people that are kind of the folks that run around playing the game of the month, the flavor of the month, are they going to be the ones that are going to bounce off? You know what I mean? Because there is that. There's plenty of players that are just playing the flavor of the month. You know what I mean? And those are the people that are going to bounce off. I hate to say it though, the flavor of the month players are the ones that tend to write the narrative on a game and its reception. So that's the problem. So
I mean, you know, people did buy Suicide Squad and Skull and Bones.
Yeah, I still remember all of the by the way, like at one point I should do like a shout out video at one point and just shout out all the commenters that commented, like the insane amount of comments that I had on the Suicide Squad Kills the Justice League Dead on Arrival video. I do need to do like a shout out video where I'm like, hey, I just want to say, you know, homie, where you at? 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 Like all these people, YouTubers like you are the ones that ruined the game. Man, it's the YouTubers ruining the game again. Never mind the fact that it released with servers that don't work. The YouTubers did that too, by the way.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, they make games, so yeah. Anyway.
So, what was it? We had something else that we were going to talk about before we finished up. I forgot what it was.
Let me pull up the notes.
Oh, I remember seeing that like the PlayStation bosses were talking about like commodification of video games and how like video games need to be commodified further. And that's a good thing. like these like, by the way, this isn't even like a console talk. It just goes to show like how these CEOs and like COOs or CFOs are just like so removed from the general consensus of like consumers, I guess, like what we want in games. It's just like, yeah, you don't understand, man. The commoditization of video games is where it's at. By the way, when I'm talking about commoditization of video games, it's specifically more microtransactions, more seasons, more DLC, more add-ons on top of the original purchase. That is what they mean when they say the further commoditization of video games. So what they're talking about is that games should be commoditized further and will be commoditized further into the future. At least that's what I'm getting from it.
Well, oddly enough, you know, Sony did this huge push to live service games, and that's worked out for them well this year.
Yeah, I need to get that quote. I'm hoping I'm not misquoting that. Because I that's what I got from it. To be honest, I listened to like it secondhand. Let me look at that real quick. Jim Ryan. I see consolidate. I guess this should probably be it. I see consolidation to be the enemy of creativity, says former PlayStation chief Sean Layden, as Jim Ryan says he was thrilled to sign the deal with Microsoft for Call of Duty.
No, he wasn't. Whatever, dude. I'm so over that shit, man. I'm
so stupid. So stupid. We're at the risk of getting granular here, but deals are deals, blah, 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 blah. I don't think this is the part. I see consolidation in the industry. Well, we've been seeing that for years already, though. They're saying that they see more consolidation coming in the future.
And it's them. That's the thing. It's them, too.
Yeah, that's like so this has nothing to do with like the consoles specifically from my perspective. This is just like more like the consolidation of money in general, where like a lot of these studios are just trying to basically make sure that any money that's made in the video game industry is being directed at their company. Not necessarily because of like their consoles or their platforms. No, it's because they want like, oh, game company made video game. We should get money for that. And a lot of these companies just wanted to get down to they really want to boil this down to the point where like indie isn't a thing anymore. Indie isn't a thing. That's really what the obviously they want to get indie back to what indie was, which is like these cheap looking, like goofy looking games that probably aren't going to get every once in a while one of them's going to pop off because they're really good. But it's like
trashware is what they want it to
well,
be.
it's not trashware. I mean, like you can look like we're not going to call like Skull Knight or anything like that a trash game. We're not going to look at Terraria and call it a trash game, but they want that look, that image of indie to stay like that, rather than what indie is starting to look like, which is an actual competitor to their products.
Gotcha. Okay.
You get what I mean?
Yeah.
Because like let's be real. Baldur's Gate 3, while not a AAA game, but an independent company.
Yeah.
That is direct competition with them and their games coming from an independent. And from a business perspective, they probably don't want that kind of competition out there. Layden says, I see people like Microsoft, Embracer, and some group out of Saudi Arabia buying up studios, and I see consolidation to be the enemy of creativity. If we commoditize the product, you're just going to get more of the same.
Oh, so he's saying making it a commodity, which it is a commodity though. Video game, whatever.
Yeah, video games are already commoditized. Like, I don't understand. Like, the problem is, like, I guess one of my issues that I see with PlayStation always is just like the victim mentality that they have for themselves that bothers me. And it's just like, what are you guys talking about? Like, you guys are already actively ruining the game industry. You, Microsoft, Nintendo, EA, THQ, even to some point, Ubisoft for absolute sure. Activision, Blizzard has done their damage over the years, without a doubt. You guys have already been doing it. What are you talking about? You've already commoditized all of these games to the point that we do not buy a complete experience when we buy a game.
Yeah.
We do not get a full product. We never have. We haven't in years. Everything is piecemealed out through DLC, through microtransactions, through an in-game store.
Or it's literally a copy of a copy of a copy. You know how like you start with the original, and each time you copy it, it gets to be a lesser version. And that's
they're watering it down.
Yeah,
it's watered down. Call of Duty's that, right? I mean, Call of Duty's like the biggest and best picture of like what like hyper advanced capitalism in a video game is.
Yeah, well, Activision in general, not just thinking about it, they will milk a cow until it's a skeleton and dust. Guitar Hero, gone. Yeah. It's gone. You know what I mean? Tony Hawk, gone.
Yeah.
Just like they'll milk it until like,
you don't recognize it anymore?
Where's that Luke Skywalker with the green milk?
Yeah.
There's your thumbnail.
Are you guys trying to tell me you guys don't want to play Call of Duty 87? No, not 1987. No, it's the 87th Call of Duty.
Well, that's why they just call it Modern Warfare now. It's not a number. It's just Call of Duty.
They don't want to show the number to show that they can't make anything original anymore. I think that they've genuinely lost the ability to. I don't think it's still lost the ability. It's just how safe that these companies want to be. But the funny thing is, like, in their safeness is, I think, their biggest weakness. The fact that they're so adverse to change, so adverse to risk, to try to do anything different, is going to eventually push people away from them.
Yeah.
It's going to push people away.
Yeah. Speaking of which, let's talk a little bit about IGN and Resident Evil 5 for our last topic.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know how much of that I can handle.
Yeah. So, if you don't know, chat, IGN put out an article. I say IGN, but it was a writer at IGN. Okay, put out an article of saying how IGN or Resident Evil 5 cannot be remade, right, without some major work done to it, and not work with like graphics and stuff. It's talking about the game itself, the narrative, all kinds of stuff. And I get it. It's socially now, yes, it would be a tough. It'd be like trying to put Bully out right now. I get that. You know what I mean? That would be difficult. But IGN gave the game a 9 out of 10 when they rated it. And so now they're like, no, it doesn't need to come out.
So, here, I don't really understand though. Like, I don't know, man. Like, I get it, but I actually don't. I just genuinely don't. So, like, the game's based in Africa.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
So if the game was based in Japanese, or like in Japan or in China or in wherever else, should it not include those people? Should it just be like amorphic, non-distinct people of, no descent? You know what I mean? Like, it just doesn't, like, the game has its own story and theme. So like, if they want to change it, here's the thing. Here's the funny thing. I disagree wholeheartedly with this article had me in the first half, lost me in the second. Like, when they're talking about how, it changed what Resident Evil was because all of a sudden it became an action game. It was about these action set pieces, and it felt like they were trying to compete with Call of Duty, and it started to feel like a Call of Duty game. Yes, 100,000%. I am on board with you. If they want to turn the franchise in a different direction and rewrite history in that case, I'm all for it, because I didn't like Resident Evil 5 and I did not like Resident Evil 6. I was not a fan of it because I come to play a Resident Evil game for survival horror, and that's not what it was. So I just really didn't click with it. I mean, I had a good time playing it co-op, I guess, but I also had a good time playing co-op on Gears of War, on Army of Two, and a few other games. You know what I mean? So it's not like it's just one of those things where I just don't from that perspective, sure, turn it around, do something different. But when you go and all of a sudden you want to start making it about, BLM and stuff, like, what are you doing? What are you doing, IGN? Why, man? Like, just leave it alone. Like, and then on top of that, like, then now you're a revisionist, right?
Yeah,
so like,
it was okay in 2006.
Right.
It was okay.
So, yeah, in 2006, we were totally cool with this, but now it's it's bad. It's
that's
bad
my
today.
ick.
Yeah. It's just like, bro, it's so fake. It's so fake. It's just fake outrage, fake caring, fake personality, fake people writing fake articles for fake drama for more clicks. It disgusts me. It's stupid, and I'm just tired of it.
Yeah. So, yeah. I don't know.
I feel bad, dude, because I actually went out on a limb a couple streams ago and said, you know what? Largely, I feel like IGN's been doing a pretty good job lately. I felt like they were being a little bit more transparent. I've said it a few times. I think that they've been doing a really good job with some of their reviews. I think that some of their opinion pieces have been pretty good. And then all of a sudden, they just want to throw it all in the trash again and remind me that none of these journalists can be trusted. Not for a second. It's not for a damn second. Not for a damn second. They had some really good coverage. I really appreciated their coverage of Dragon's Dogma 2. I think they've done a fantastic job of it so far. But then you go and do this, and then on top of that, it's not even this. It's back to back. You know what article they released the day before this?
No.
Players in the Helldivers 2 community are upset over concerns that the game may be pay to win. Oh, no, they're not. Nobody is. No, everybody knows that the game's not pay to win. Everybody's championing the game for not being pay to win.
Like I said, I just don't think their editor has a pulse on the industry or on the community.
I don't know, man.
Like, it's I don't know.
I don't know. It's just one of those things where it's like, You know, I look and I see like Destin Laguerre, like he'll put out some good stuff. You know what I mean?
He has his moments to where I'm like, but he does but he puts out good stuff on his own channel.
Yeah, I don't agree with everything the guy says. However, at the same time, the stuff that he puts out on his own channel, for the most part, it's pretty good, pretty decent.
It is.
But he comes by, he watches me, he watches the live streams, he checks out the videos and stuff like that. He's a good dude.
He is.
But it's just like you know, how do you guys have like somebody like him representing, and then all of a sudden you have like these completely different like things that seem completely antithetical to like what gamers are actually concerned about. You know what I mean? Like things that are so absolutely Twitter focused.
Are the generations of people like me being older, you're in the middle, and then we'll say just for just visualization, my son's in the third slot. Okay, are the gaps in ideology so different that new hires to IGN or newcomers in are so much different than the old heads? This is just socially. I'm curious. I'm asking chat too. Like, is the gap between generations so wide that we just can't communicate and understand each other?
Oh, like the funny thing is, I don't even think it's my generation. I don't think my generation has a problem communicating with X, right? Like millennials don't have any issue communicating with Gen Xers. It's both of we do.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's right. You guys think we're just as useless as anybody else?
No, I don't think you're useless. I mean, you're gonna be paying for me when I'm on Social Security. I don't think you're useless.
Yeah.
No, like
Meanwhile, it's also the people from your generation that'll take Social Security away from the rest of us.
You're shit, dude. My generation, I've been getting letters since I was about your age. My retirement age for Social Security has gone up to 72. Who the fuck wants to work to 72? Nobody. Anyway, we're getting off topic, but like, is the ideology so vastly different? Because like, even people just slightly younger, like that are just like they're in the social mainstream. Like, is it just like, is that gap just so far, or is it just a loud minority of people?
You know what the funny thing is that I just think that in general what's going on is that there's just a major difference in values and concerns, where like I would say millennials, because of their age, are more worried about cost, quality, pricing, housing, you know, like like work, jobs, those kind of things, right? Where the younger generations like Zoomer and Alpha are like very much like social politic, because that's the only thing that's what they've grown up in.
It's what they've been fed.
Yeah, they grew up in like Trump era, you know, like all that kind of like just weird stuff. Like we've had a really weird last like 20 years.
Dude, Boozleborg just nailed it, man.
What?
That's true. Gen X was told that they would never be anything, and millennials think they're not allowed to.
Yeah, that's true.
That's fair.
That's true. What? Wait, hold on. I'm confused. I thought millennials were told that they could be anything.
I thought
remember that
snowflakes.
Exactly. That was the Gen X thing back in the day.
No, that wasn't Gen X. That wasn't Gen X saying. Here's the thing about Gen X that I think is really misconstrued.
That was the boomers. Was it the boomers?
The boomers.
That were the ones? Yeah, the
Gen
boomers
X.
are the ones.
We're the generation that just doesn't care. Just leave us alone.
Mark froze.
Hold on.
There you go.
There you go. We're the generation that doesn't care. Just leave us alone. That's it.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, that's it, dude. We were latchkey kids, Gen X, baby.
I was a latchkey kid.
Okay, so in elementary school, we had to do nuke drills where we had to get under our desk.
No, we didn't have that shit. But I didn't have like a babysitter per se. I would just like, you know, I'd go home, I'd leave school, go home, you know, and it was basically up to myself to like do what I needed to do. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which almost always resulted in me playing Mario or Pokemon.
But that's where I think a lot of this writing comes from, like the dumb writing on it. It just comes from just this, and then also the reaction to it. It just depends on which generation's reading it. You know what I mean? Like, there's probably going to be a lot of people, younger people, who read that and going to be like, "Yeah, this is some bullshit. Resident Evil 6 is racist." And then you're going to have people like this, like the game just wasn't good. And then you're going to have me. It's like, I don't really care.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know. It's one of those things too, where it's like, are we really going to get to the point now where like we can't even make games about like geological places because we're going to probably offend some people?
Dude, I saw this thing because you're such a Dune hater. I'm going to bring it up. Someone was complaining. I watched it on the old Ticker Talkers. Was complaining that there weren't a specific type of religion on the planet Arrakis. So why wasn't it people that are like of skin color that would normally be that religion on the planet? And I'm like, because it's a fictional fucking planet in the universe, that only religion that we know is here on this planet. So, but yeah, yeah.
What is wrong with people?
I did that so I would not get demonetized with the words that I chose to use.
Yeah, you got to be real careful with that. Real careful with that.
But yeah, like that to me is just like, it's just so outrageous. It's so outlandish.
That's so wild. That's wild. So yeah, that is basically the end of our normal talks. This is usually the end of the show. This is where we'll answer any questions. If you guys want to legendary drops in the chat, you guys can right now. We'll answer just about anything as long as it's TOS, and yeah, we'll continue on our day. So go ahead and drop some questions if you have anything. If there's anything that you want us to talk about or anything we missed talking about today, maybe we'll talk about it, unless it's something I feel like
maybe there's entirely. A point that one of us made that you disagree with and you would like us to elaborate on or discuss.
No, I'll just ban you.
Okay, fair. Who disagreed?
The power has gone to his head.
All right, we got Edavast at Legendary Drops. What are you looking forward to the most in DD2, and what most worried about for the game?
What are you looking forward to, and what are you the most worried about? I'm worried about PC performance, slightly. I have a really good rig, but I'm interested to see. I was having problems. I noticed, I talked to Mark about it. I was having some issues when I was trying to use the character creator. Like, it was sucking up like 8 gigs of VRAM by itself, and I'm like, okay. Okay. I don't understand why 8 gigs. Why are you sucking up 8 gigs, you fucking hog? So there's that. But out of the things that I'm looking the most forward to, just pointing my character in a direction and walking, and just finding what I find.
All right.
That's what I'm looking forward to.
All right. Nixie asks, Metacritic predictions for Dragon's Dogma 2. He says 90. I think it's going to land in the low to mid 80s.
No, I'm going to say it's probably going to be high 80s, low 90s.
Okay.
I think critically the game is going to be appreciated. Critically, the game is going to be appreciated for sure. I think that the testers are going to be happy. Especially because the thing, or like not testers, but like the reviewers are going to be happy because like I've seen a lot of the response from the content creators that have played the game, and they've all had nothing but good things to say about it. Not a lot of drawbacks outside of like performance, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah. At Legendary Drops, how do you think Dragon's Dogma 2 will run on a Steam Deck? Hot.
Not well.
Hot.
It's going to run hot. It's going to run at 30 frames.
Yeah. At Legendary Drops, what do you think about Bold Man cancellation with Dragon's Dogma 2 pawn related event? I'm sorry, man. That stuff is just hilarious to me. When I look at that, and especially when I see like a lot of the like the tweets and stuff that like surrounded it, because it's popped up on my timeline. It just goes to show how completely disconnected from reality a lot of people on Twitter are. Like no one's home. No one's home.
No, it's an echo chamber, man.
Well, it's not even like the echo chamber part of it. It's just like the things that they say are so beyond baseless. It's a list of buzzwords about bald man bad, and then it just goes on further to say how they're dangerous, quote unquote, and doing active harm. Like active harm. Homie watched a video about somebody reacting to something and saying that, hey, like the fact that they somehow weaved this whole, Sweet Baby Inc. thing into somehow like an attack campaign from far right extremists. What? Like, it's almost one of those things where it's like you're seeing somebody like lying in real time, and you're like but everybody knows that they're lying, and you're sitting there going like, why are you lying right now? Just ignore it. Like, the best thing you could do is just ignore it and move on, but you just can't help talking about it. So instead you turn to lie about it. And it's just like, how are you this against reality? Like, bro.
All right. Owen Knight asks, at Legendary Drops, I have not logged into Diablo 4 in months. At this point, is it more reasonable to assume that everything will be fixed in the expansion? I guess Owen does stand up because that's shit's funny.
That's some hardcore copium. You need to pass that shit to the left, man. I tell you that right now. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, here's the hoping. Here's the hoping. Yeah, I mean, here's the thing.
$70 needs to go somewhere.
Here's the thing. For the players that are genuinely really waiting to see like if Diablo can improve, this big balance change, the itemization change, is going to be a major factor in whether or not they're going to be able to get this game to an enjoyable state and make it a real competitor in the live circuit for action RPGs. Right, but Reaper of Souls and Diablo 3 weren't live service games. So the problem with that is that like the whole live service element changes the entire outlook of how the game will perform or how fun or enjoyable the game will be to play. With that said, because all that live service stuff is baked into the game, right? It's baked into the development of the game, how the game plays, everything. So if they can fix their itemization and get everything reined in, maybe the game will probably be pretty decent by the time the expansion comes around. However, at the same time, Blizzard is also really well known for completely ruining everything they've done in the past with an expansion and then starting the whole cycle over again.
Yes.
So we'll see.
Center in chat, ask at Legendary Drops, what do you think about... Oh, never mind. That's the wrong one. Okay. There it is. At Legendary Drops, this is from Edivest again. Are you guys going to give out your pawn code to the community?
Oh yeah. Once I get some pawns designed and get that all, I was thinking about stealing somebody's design for Shadowheart just so I can have a, real hot boo to follow me around. You know what I mean? So that's probably what I'll end up having. At Legendary Drops, any thoughts on? Oh, lovely Ray. At Legendary Drops, not a question, but a clarification. You can change your skills when you're at camp in Dragon's Dogma 2, and when an NPC dies, you have a limited amount of time to use wake stones in a morgue. Yes, that is true. FTW. Any thoughts on Alone in the Dark? I want to get it, but it doesn't. If it doesn't have any major problems, but not until I'm done with Dragon's Dogma 2. I really haven't looked at a whole lot of stuff. I watched PewDiePie do a haunted house thing for a promotion for it, but I haven't seen anything really on the game. I really paid much attention to it.
There's been a lot of iterations. I remember when the original came out on PC back in the day. It was amazing. Like it was amazing. Like just graphically of what it did. Even though it was super basic, super simple. So I haven't checked out. I don't know if this is a reiteration of the original or the one that they tried to do on the Xbox 360 back in the day. So I'm not sure.
Gothborn, it's nearly midnight. Can I go to bed? Yes.
No.
Go to bed.
No.
Don't listen to Mark. You can only listen to me. Subtopia. Legendary Drops. Did you get that shirt in Japan near Mount Fuji? No, I bought it from a company near Mount Fuji. I do plan on going to Japan at one point. Maybe one day if the
I want to go to Japan.
If the YouTube channel gets a little bit bigger and I can actually afford to, I'll go on a trip to Japan and I'll take you guys all with me in prayer, in thoughts, and also on a cell phone, I guess. Owen Knight with another question. Ubisoft announced that they are going to do a Watch Dogs movie. Can we reasonably expect it to be a runaway success like Assassin's Creed or the Division TV show when it comes out? Good Lord. You're a jokester today, aren't you? Laz at Legendary Drops. Are you going to revisit Last Epoch eventually? How far did you guys get? I mean, I got to Endgame, level 80, I think. Something like that. I did not mean to do that. Level 80, I think. Something like that. So,
at Legendary Drops. This is from la 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 la. Yo, how come you've changed your personal style so much compared to episode 1 of this podcast? Dude, go back and watch episode 1 and you will know why we've changed.
No, please don't.
It is so bad.
Please don't.
It is so bad. Don't. Hi, I'm Ian. Oh, no. Did you even say Ian? I think you used No Head Ninja. I think we had our gamer tags under us.
Yeah, we saw our gamer tags. That's doxing now.
Oh my God.
So, well, it's like old tags. I don't even use that stuff anymore. So basically, oh man, that's really good. How have you changed your personal style so much? How come you changed your personal style so much? I don't think it's necessarily personal style if you're just talking about like how I talk and things like that.
No, he's talking about your clothes.
The way he dressed was so wild.
Yeah, he's talking about your face and just the way you are as a person. Just your beliefs. I mean,
your core beliefs.
You've changed. I don't even know you anymore.
I'm like actually trying to think of like my personal style, and I'm like, I think I still own all the same clothes from when we started the podcast over a year ago. So I'm pretty sure, yeah. And then but back then I couldn't grow facial hair because I had a job.
Yeah.
So there was that. I've also lost weight too.
Not much.
So there's a bit of that.
I mean, I don't know how you could lose weight and be the exact same size, but whatever. God, I'm a hater today. I love it, dude. I'm gonna fucking have so much fun at work tonight.
Mark had more hair.
I did. You're goddamn right. I did. Look at this. Look at this. Look. Look at that. Watch this. Watch this. Bow bow. It's a bongo.
It's a major improvement, bro. No hate. Nah, no. I know what you mean, though. I know what you mean. It's actually really funny though if you go back and you look at like my older videos and also the like older podcast. Mm-hmm. Both Mark and I have gotten a lot better at speaking on camera, speaking into a microphone. Yeah. Talking better flow in general. Especially with my videos. Holy shit, dude! If you go back and look at like my first couple of videos on like Final Fantasy 16, I think is what one of my first videos was on. Mm-hmm. Yeah. If you go back and watch that, and then like fast forward to a today video, you'd be like, bro. At Owen Knight, or what am I saying? At Owen Knight. Owen Knight with one more question. This will be the last one we'll take. Okay, here's a legitimate question. With the criticism against game journalism, why haven't we seen the space filled with more objective reviewers and critic score sites? I mean, objectivity is, so subjective.
People are already calling in. They must be watching the podcast saying I'm going to be an asshole tonight. No, there are some. I mean, that's the thing. It was weird as Ian's hit on it before, and this isn't to pat himself on the back. But it seems like YouTubers are becoming the more honest part of it. Because like, yes, they do get it's monetized and all that stuff. But you can find guys like Skill Up. I like Skill Up. I mean, everyone calls them Shill Up, but I like them specifically. I align game wise with them a bit. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, like with the with the Metacritic, like I don't like any site that allows you to like we'll never be able to get rid of review bombing, and as long as there is some sort of hardware war, you're always going to have it, right? You're just always going to have it regardless. And so that's why like Steam, for me, like Steam and personally is probably the most accurate because you can see what's recent and what's their overall, right?
Yeah.
And so yeah, like I don't know if they're ever going to get it to where it's just
I'll be honest,
structured.
I personally don't think that like in a lot of cases game journalism itself is kind of just a dying medium. I hate to say it, like written game journalism websites and stuff like that. One, a lot of people don't really visit it as much as people used to in the past. Two, the problem is that a lot of their stuff is becoming like there's no objective review for a game. You cannot objectively review a game. It's impossible to. How are you supposed to objectively review your experience playing a game? You know what I mean? Because regardless, there's going to be some subjectivity into that because it's how did I like the story? I can't, there's no way to be able to say whether a story is good or bad because, well, the thing is that everybody's going to have a different experience. Some people are going to like it. Other people aren't. Same thing goes for like how they think, you know, even performance and things like that can be subjective. Somebody could say the game is damn near unplayable because of screen, you know, like screen frame rates and stuff like that. Then you can go to play the game yourself and have no problem with it. I'll give you a really good example of this. Final Fantasy VII Remake was having some serious screen issues on PC when it released on Steam. I didn't want to buy it initially because so many people are like, oh no, it's unplayable. It's unplayable. And I kind of looked at that as like, as an objective truth. Oh, the game is next to unplayable because of this. I go on and play it and I didn't even really notice it. Maybe it was just my hardware. So my hardware wasn't causing me any problems, but I never had any issues with the game. Yeah. So it's one of those, so it's all kinds of things. They're really like, when we're talking about opinion pieces, which is a review is an opinion piece, there is no objectivity in that kind of writing. It's impossible to make that objective because it is subjective in nature since it's an opinion.
Yeah, I mean, how many times have you ever started a game and just because of your mental state that you're in, you had a bad experience with the game? You didn't play it even though it's not a bad game. You know what I mean? Just because you weren't ready, you weren't mentally ready or prepared to play the game like that.
Nate Carborough, I'll do one more. Nate Carborough says, what are your general thoughts on exclusives eventually coming to PlayStation when it seems like Sony has been outperforming Microsoft, in my opinion? Bring back the Sega Game Gear. That's what my opinion is. Bring back the Sega Game Gear.
Well, I mean, not to stoke the flames of the fire, but Sony did only have one game come out last year, and that was Spider-Man. So what did they win?
Wait a minute, hold on. Was that the only?
That's the only game.
Major console exclusive they had last year was Spider-Man?
Yeah.
Spider-Man?
Well, their first party, yes.
Sega.
Exactly.
Yeah, actually, did they even win anything?
Well, they did not at the Game Awards, but
Dice
they did
Awards.
at other
Maybe
ones. The Dice Awards did.
Yeah. I'll be honest with you. I don't really give a shit. I think all games should be available everywhere.
Yep.
Fuck them.
I do too.
That's what I think. People don't really like my take on this, but PlayStation, Xbox, Nintendo, put your games on everybody's platform, compete on the hardware alone. Yeah. And if you want to disagree with me, I don't give a shit.
Yep. Let the games compete, not the hardware.
Yeah, let the games compete. Them compete.
How many units were sold? Or are we just talking about?
Do you know what the best part is? Do you know what the best part is? That before we started this podcast today, the very first thing that I brought up was
we're not talking about consoles.
What I would like to do is not talk about consoles anymore
ever again.
Because just like console war discussions and like, you know, this console, not this exclusive versus this, like I'm just exhausted of it. And there's no winning it because PlayStation fans are never going to see eye to eye with Xbox guys. Xbox guys are never going to see eye to eye with anybody. PlayStation people, and then plus with anybody. Yeah. Because their eyes are crossed.
because they dumb. No,
and then Nintendo guys are just doing their thing, where nobody else can see them. You know what I mean? It's just stupid. It's just a dumb conversation to have in general. You know what I mean? I think games should just be available to as many people as possible. That's about it. So, anyway, that is all we have for the show today, my friends. Thank you guys for joining us yet again. What an absolutely fantastic show. We had we almost got up to 200 viewers today, which is fantastic.
It is.
So really appreciate you guys for that. Thank you for the subs. Thank you for the super chat. Thank you for the super chats. And thank you for the donations. Really appreciate it, guys. It all goes far much further than you think it does. But that is all we have for the show today.
Hold on. Owen says he'll give you $500 for a 96-hour stream. I don't know what a stream is, but we'll do
Owen, we'll have to talk about that.
A stream.
We'll have to talk about that.
Is that like a OnlyFans type stream? Is that what that is? Like a stream?
You just demonetized this whole video. You just demonetized this whole video.
Go fast.
It's too late. AI already picked it up. Yep. Damn.
Oh, it just said, hey, demonetized. Yep, gotcha.
Yeah. That sucks. Damn. Anyway, stay cool, stay righteous, stay safe, my friends. But most of all, we'll see you guys